Thursday, June 10th, 2021, Carthage City Council meeting order. We want to welcome everyone and hope everybody finds a chair to sit in. Thank you for being here. Madam Recorder, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Councilwoman Knappel. Here. Councilman Babcock.
Here.
Councilman Eagle.
Here.
Councilman Peters.
Here.
Councilman Petty.
Here.
Vice Mayor Reese.
Here.
City Attorney Moore.
He's hungry. He's not here yet. He's zooming in. So. Okay, thank you. We have minutes from the April 1st and May 6th meetings. Has everyone had a chance to send out? Has everyone had a chance to read them?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes. Second.
Motion approved and second. Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Those minutes are approved. Now we have consideration of bills over.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to limit discussion time to 2 minutes per council person per topic.
The motion has been made to limit discussion time to 2 minutes per council person per topic. Do I hear a second? I'm sorry, who seconded it? Sam's. Councilman Petty, second. All in favor of that?
What is discussion?
Well, discussion, go right ahead. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I don't think we need to limit it to 2 minutes. We're stacking up more and more problems. The more we limit speech, the more we stack it up for the next time. We just talk it out like adults. It'd be awesome.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed?
So we now go into citizens' concerns. This is a time when anyone who is here in Carthage who wants to.
Point of inquiry. We do the consideration bills first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Let's skip over that. Consideration of bills over 2,000.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on that? Motion approved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? All right, thank you. Now we have citizens' concerns. If you live here in Carthage and have a concern to address to our council here, we'd like to hear from you. Would anyone like to address any concerns that you have?
Point of inquiry.
Yes, sir.
Do they have to live here in Carthage? Can they have a business in Carthage? Can they have an interest in Carthage to speak?
They can they can live here, either one, but we'd like to hear from our citizens first, and then we'll take an order after that, anyone who wants to consider. So we always recognize the citizens who live here first. So is there any citizen, first of all, who lives here would like to address a concern?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you will please, could you pull this up as a podium, please?
You want it up there, or I can move it?
Well, if you'll just move that off, we'll use that as a podium. You can just move right over there.
I don't need a podium, I'm just me.
Well, if you will just give us your name and address and whatever you'd like to say.
Most of y'all here know me. My name is Mark Grover. I live at 306 4th Avenue East. My concern at this point right now, why is this council limiting time to speak? All y'all voted for that just 2 minutes ago, except for Mr. Eagle. You are on this council to take care of things that are happening in this city, business matters, road construction, the sewer problem, you name it. Mr. Eagle said that the more we limit speech, the more things just get piled up. The more things don't get taken care of. You ran as a citizen of this city, and by the way, my name will be on the ballot in the next election, I guarantee you that. But I might just well address it to you because you brought up the motion to do it, Mr. Peters. Did you not run for this council because you love this city?
Well, we don't address questions.
Why not?
This is your chance to.
Well, maybe I need an answer though.
Well, no, sir, this is question, you speak to concerns.
There she goes, wanting to shut up a citizen
No,
again.
I don't.
Yes, you are.
But we don't interrogate the council. This is your chance to.
Well, this is a concern as a citizen of this
Well, you
city.
can express the concern, but he doesn't have to interact.
He don't have to,
You can call me anytime.
he don't have to answer if he don't want to, but I can still ask him the question. You don't have to answer. But my point is, every council member, Mayor, you ran for your spot because you love the city, correct? Don't answer if you don't want to, I don't care. But if you're gonna limit speech of the council members, how are you gonna get things done? Maybe 2 minutes isn't enough to discuss the sewer problem or discuss the lights in the ballpark that we really wanna do because this community needs stuff to do. You limit time that people can speak, things aren't gonna get done. You got on this council, I'm gonna run for this council because things need to get done in this city for its citizens. Everything that gets addressed by this council affects the citizens of this city, and not just the city, the county too. We all know that. Things that happen in the city affect the county. If y'all remember a couple years ago, there was a big mayor run for the county. I got really involved in that election because I found out a lot of stuff that as a citizen of this county and city, I didn't know was going on. Just give you one example, the dump. Everybody knows the problems with the dump. They made a decision in 1986, I believe it was, to build that dump. Might have been 84, I'm not sure exactly, I wasn't living here at the time. And now, here we are, 30 some odd years later, and that decision was made then is affecting this community today. It's affecting this city, it's affecting this county. Decisions that we made here tonight and every council meeting hereafter will affect your kids, your grandkids, your children. If you decide to stay in this community, decisions made tonight, every council meeting that you have will affect our children, our grandchildren, and so on, 20, 30, 40 years down the road. And to me, as a citizen, that's very, very, very concerning because blame whoever you want to blame for what's going on. Things are not being done in this city council for this community the way they need to be done.
Amen.
Simple, thank you. It affects everybody. I really wish there was so many people trying to get in this meeting that we had to lock the door to keep them from, because I'm sure there's probably an occupancy, limitation in this room, but more people need to get involved. More citizens need to get involved. Like I said, I guarantee you my name will be on the ballot on the next election. But right now, as a city council, as the mayor, we need you all to do what needs to be done for this community to make it better today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, and 30 years from now, and however long Carthage, Tennessee is here. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else who would like to make decisions? You would tell us your name and your address, please.
Hi, my name is Brian Goodman. I live at 202 Carmack Avenue. And last month, which the issue has been going on with the parking on Carmack Avenue, and Mr. Abel, when I heard you call my address out, I said, hey, Renee, we've got to go. My little wife is back there. That's her, Renee. But we live at 202 Carmack Avenue, and our side street is Duke Alley. And I guess the issue is, back in the day, an ordinance was passed that it's illegal to park on a city street. Well, when we live in a rental house, and that house was built, and the owner, for sort of reason, never did put in a drive. And Duke Alley runs in between my house and our next door neighbor's house. And me and my wife have 3 vehicles, and if we park on that side street, and our next door neighbor, they have 3 vehicles as well, it will be hard for a vehicle, and there is vehicles that occasionally come down Duke Alley, to get through there with our 3 vehicles side by side. Either they're going to hit ours or something to that nature. And I don't want our vehicles towed for that reason. We don't park on the sidewalk. We park right in front of our house. And we have 2 big oak trees. I know, Mayor, you mentioned last month that the city could cut in a driveway for you, but we can't afford to have those 2 big trees cut down, which is not mine, it's our landlord's, and we can't afford to pay $1,300 for a driveway. So I don't want my cars towed. I am an honest working man. I work in the city. I love the city, and that's my concern.
Anyone else who would like to say 2 minutes?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Come right up here, please. Okay. So just tell us your name and your address, please.
Sure. My name is Michelle Barnes. I live at 105 Riverside Drive, and I've been a resident there since October 2017. I prepared a statement just as an opinion to share with the group. Some of you may have seen this already because I did also put it on the citizens of Smith County. And I wish I could attend every meeting. I can't. I have work obligations, family, things like that go on. But I try to attend the ones that are relevant to my family, to me, to my residents, my favorite businesses, things like that. And I moved here because I like this little town. I really do. I'm a transplant, but I really like it. So I wanted to piggyback a little bit off of Mr. Grover, Mr. Grover. When he was asking about the 2-minute limit that you proposed, I also have concerns about that because rather than limiting conversations about infrastructure, budgets, resident safety, those types of things, what I think this forum should limit is what I call childish and unprofessional behavior. I don't want to direct this at any one person around the circle because I'm collectively feeling it. I feel collectively that everyone here has been participating. And my prepared statement says this. I would recommend you, if you haven't already, to go back to the Smith County website on Facebook or wherever, or to your recorded laptop videos. Please watch yourselves. Please. It's almost, it's hilarious. I mean, it is. It's an insulting, hilarious show. And I think that, you know, I know, this is my statement. Of course, there is a need to discuss issues, whether you personally agree with them or not, as members representing us. But my statement is to develop thick skin, please. Straighten up. Stop the craziness. You don't have to limit conversations. Limit all the back and forth and hitting and, you know, pointing fingers and the, you know, the animation and drama is what takes half of your meeting. And it's filmed. And we're all watching you. Neighboring cities are watching you. You want people to come to Carthage for events and for And I'm not running, by the way. I want to get that out there. I'm not running.
You should.
Pretty full. So, but how can you on one hand say you want people from outside this area to be welcome and have fun with us here, when on the other hand, they have the ability to research and see on the web how we're acting here and laugh at us. So these things are the overreactions, the backdoor sneaky deals, and I don't see those, but you can tell they're done. And you can feel the animosity among you by those. Maybe you have these things in the background, but when you come in here, you're absolutely professional and acting as if there's nothing going on that's wrong. Well, if you can't bring it to this table, and you have to go in the back room and talk about it, and not let us know how it's progressing, then it doesn't need to be addressed at all. This is an open forum. The constant display of disorder, disorganization. There's a tad of not being prepared, but then there's a tad of finger pointing and blaming, and it seems like more of a defensive stance than a palms up, let's work together stance. That's what I mean by that. And, the eye rolling, the arms crossing. My last words on this are to please do not underestimate to what degree others are viewing you. And I mean, whether we're in this room, whether we're on Main Street, or we're in, Smithville, wanting to move here maybe, and looking at a place. I don't know. We citizens need for a professional working relationship among our city leaders. You don't have to like each other. You don't have to like me. But I live here and I pay my taxes. And I have real concerns.
Amen. You tell them.
I feel like I don't have anyone working for me right now. So, with that in mind, I want everyone to know that not one member of this team, this forum, needs to assume any superiority, needs to assume any exaggeration of self-worth. We're all equals. We all should have the same goal in mind, but we've got to get there in a more professional way. And that's my request today.
I have a concern.
Right up here.
Oh, I gotta come up to the front? Oh my gosh.
You want to be able to hear you?
Hear me? Okay. It's a really simple request. Really simple, okay?
Your name and address.
My name, nobody can say it or spell it, so that's pretty good. Okay, my name is Faye Narkmas. I moved here about 3 years ago. We're a military retiree family. And I utilize the library. And there are no bathrooms in the library. There has never been any bathroom. You can't, the stairs were tried, we're costly to move, to be put outstairs to use the bathroom. So you either had to go outside and use those terrible bathrooms attached to the adult learning center, or maybe go into the courthouse, which is closed sometimes. So my concern is, if you're concerned about your children, and now children go to the library, they have story hour, et cetera, there are no bathrooms. So this is the 21st century, folks. There are no bathrooms. So I need to say we've got no bathrooms in the library itself that people who utilize like to commute. Gordonsville has bathrooms, really nice bathrooms, but Carthage does not. I don't know how you're going to address it. It costs money, but look, I'm almost 70. There's no bathroom. I bring my grandkids. There's no bathroom. So take that into consideration on the voting issue. Thank you.
Some
Dan Garner. I own 201 Fisher Avenue. My wife and I have been married 26 years today, and I'm sitting in this room instead of enjoying an evening with her because on Thursday night, there was a meeting about canceling a charity event under the auspices of shutting down liquor or some other problem inside of the city. There are people on this board that have bought tickets to that event. There are people on this board that have submitted applications for their charities to benefit from the thousands of dollars that they've raised. My wife watched through the whole meeting. There wasn't one good reason given by anybody on this board. And if you're going to vote on it tonight, I want to hear why, after 3 successful years, that this has become an issue, other than there's a few people that don't like it. There's not been an incident that I'm aware of. There's not been any DUIs. There's not been any fistfights. It's a very lovely event that went on up there this year and last year when we attended it. And it'd be a travesty to shut something like that down when one of our local charities this year got $20,000 from one night. So, you know, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that that had to come up in a called meeting, and you guys are going to try and run something like that through behind everybody's back. Whether you feel like you're doing it or not, that's what it is. 3 years that event's went on. So I suggest you think about the benefits that brings to this community. I suggest you think about the good that it does. You know, we've got liquor by a drink now. We've got bars in town. We've got beer at gas stations. It's not something that, you know, I really thought about, but our whole town didn't fall apart because of any of those things. And our county didn't fall apart because of any of those things. So if you're going to vote for something like that to eliminate it after 3 successful years of doing it, I expect every single one of you to tell us exactly why you're going to do it. Because it'll be a sad thing to do. There's not enough to do in this town. We don't have bathrooms. We don't have lights at the ballpark. And this is the best thing you guys can come up with is, let's go mess with this event because for whatever reason, I want to hear it. That's all I have.
Would anyone else like to speak a concern? Give us your name and address.
Okay. My name is Tim Frank. I live at 607 Main Street, on Main Street, and I appreciate the council considering this. Last month, I came and spoke on the concerns I had on having open drinking on the streets of Smith County for events, for any event, and I just appreciate having an opportunity to examine it. I know several years ago, whenever it first was voted in, the first I heard of it was after it was already voted in, and I came and spoke to it then. I continue to stand against having open drinking out on the streets. I think it's a huge difference between drinking in your home, drinking at a bar, drinking at an establishment, and taking it onto the street. I have been to many communities, especially on Indian reservations, where drinking on the street is just what they do. And I don't want to be the thought of that's where we're going, but I've seen what just complete open drinking on the street leads to drunken people laying in the streets, and I don't want to see us do anything that would move in that type of direction. So I just encourage you to think of it in terms of the ordinance. I know that there's a lot of passion. I appreciate your words on the good that the Manual House is doing, and it's hard not to take it in connection to a event, not to take it in connection to a charity. But if you do that, then all of a sudden you let heart rule rather than thinking of what's the best for the community and for the citizens. So I just encourage you. I appreciate, again, you're looking at it, and I know it's a bold step to be able to at least look at it and talk about it. And so I appreciate the council's openness to do that. And I stand against the open drinking. I definitely don't stand against any events, but I think we've had many, many events that don't involve alcohol. I hate to see us start having to feel like every event we do, or any event we do, has to have alcohol as the base to be able to have any success. So I just encourage us to stand against that.
Because you don't want charity Indians passing off the street, is that what you're saying?
Excuse me, anyone else? Thank you, sir. Anyone
Yeah,
else would like to speak to this?
Stand for the revoking of the ordinance, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to say all that and then be misrepresented on which side I stand on. Thank you very much.
Sorry, excuse me. Okay. didn't understand. Anyone else?
I'd like to take a second
Well,
just to,
let's see who hasn't had a chance yet.
does anybody else need to speak?
I would like to speak, I was waiting for her.
If she's not, yeah.
Well,
Well, I would like, what is fresh on everybody's mind, what that gentleman just said.
does
Does anybody object to me saying something right now?
No.
Okay, thank you. So, sir, you're standing here saying that,
Please don't attack the people.
I'm not attacking nobody.
Just please.
you need to stop interrupting me, Mr. Mayor. I'm not attacking nobody, I'm
There's no
just,
attacking.
you're sitting, I'm not attacking. I'm making a statement. In your statement, you said that you don't want it to come to just drinking up and down the street, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong, in order to get the permit to have an event where alcohol is served, there are stipulations that have to be met, is that correct? So, I can't just go get a permit and go up on Main Street and have a band and sell beer to everybody, I can't do it. So, in order to have an event to serve alcohol, there are stipulations that have to be met. So it's not just drinking up and down the street. It's in a blocked off, one block area. They have security. They have licensed, ABC licensed, legal, professional bartenders serving the drinks. They are not even allowed, I think this was said Monday meeting, they're not even allowed, they're in the street. Here's the county courthouse wand. They can't take the drink from the street to the courthouse, right? Am I correct in saying that, folks? They cannot take the drink from the street of Main Street onto the yard of the courthouse because that's county property. They have the permit for the street and that's it. So for you to make the statement that we don't want to have drinking up and down the street, that's not how it's going. And any other event, not just the River City Ball, that would apply for a permit to do this, still has to meet the same stipulations and regulations that the River City Ball has to meet in order to serve the alcohol at that event. So it's not just an Indian reservation drinking wherever they want. Can't do that. There is a city ordinance that forbids open container anywhere on city property. Am I correct, Chief?
Well, I'm sorry.
There's a city ordinance that
There's a city
permits
ordinance that you cannot have open containers of alcohol on streets, sidewalks. and
any
such. Yes, that's
city-owned
correct.
property. So they have to get a special permit to have this event. So, just want to clarify, it's not crazy drinking up down the street, Joe Schmo just handing out beers to whoever wants one. Thank you.
Point of order. I don't think we should be going back and forth among citizens like that. I think we need to stop that. I understand what we said, I heard it, and I appreciate it. I want everybody to be heard, but I don't think we should be going back and forth like that. I don't think that's appropriate.
Please be respectful. It's very important. I'd like to say something. Okay. I think this lady was next in line. Do you want that?
I was gonna wait till any of the local citizens, as you requested.
So you live here in Carthage?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm Donna Carr, I live over here in Riverwalk. First of all, do we realize where we are and the meth problem we have around here?
There you go.
Okay, and how everybody gets arrested, seems like the same 6, 7. Never is found to have a source. We need to deal with that. We got people under the bridge that were sleeping in water and freezing. I don't give a flip about that ball. I don't care about that courthouse. I care about humans. And I doubt, sir, that was very racist what you said. I am a Cherokee. Cherokee and German. All right? We're not passed out drunks and we're not Nazis. We're trying to prevent Nazis right here. Take care of us. And make sure that it's not just about the well-to-dos, the haves and the have-nots. There's people in between. I work my tail off to pay my taxes. Right? I leave my shift, I leave my machine, and I cry for the pain I'm in to pay my taxes. I don't like compensation. I don't like you calling me a friend. You tell him all the time, you're friends. I know that sometimes you feel attacked. I get that. It's horrible, but all we hear on the other side is this. You're out of order. Stop it. Stop it. You're out of order. The Constitution of the United States. That's all we hear. Because audio and visual is horrible. I mean, I get it. I would feel attacked too. But it's about us. We pay the bill. Please, I don't want. How did we look anyway? We got people in ball gowns on one side of town. We got people starving to death. I'm ashamed.
Would anyone else like to speak a concern, please? All right, I'll start with Is there someone, I'm sorry, is it on the table? Do you want?
I'd like to speak. My name is Erica Eagle. I have a residence at 228 Main Street North, a rental property at 230 Main Street North, a business at 104 East Avenue, and at 106 East Avenue as well. So also very involved, heavily involved in several events that are centered in Carthage, including Walton Days, Hometown Christmas, Jeepers Creepers, and River City Hall. What I want to speak on tonight is not necessarily anything you guys are voting on tonight, but it is about the way things are being conducted through the city council. I have several issues. I had spoken to several of you, and I do thank the ones that took my call and took the time to talk to me, even though this is not my place of voting. I have another residence in Lot 7, and so I'm outside of the city. I think that you need to take into consideration the concerns of people who have vested interests in the city. If you just put them aside as not as important as somebody who you might win a vote from, you are discouraging them from investing in your town. And there are a lot of people who bring a lot of added additional value to this town. Another issue I have is a good majority of this council does not understand some of the legalities and ethics of their position. You are not allowed as an elected official to block people on social media accounts that you use to disseminate official information. If you want to have an official, I would suggest that as elected officials, you all get an official account if you choose not to have certain things on your personal account. Otherwise, it is a violation of the First Amendment and a violation of open records laws. And as such, if you were blocking someone, they could submit an open records request for your social media printouts. Another issue I have is not letting citizens or anybody who's interested comment on the official town Facebook page and deleting things from it. And then another issue I had was about what happened with the special call meeting. There was something put out on Friday, a notice. The meeting was on Monday. You didn't even have a full business day to really talk to anybody. And you were looking to do a first reading on a Monday and a second reading on a Thursday. That is not even a full week to enact an entire law change. And when we're talking about law change, there needs to be a really, really good reason for you to change a law or an ordinance. Just because you don't like something is not a good reason. So I would like, also, I would encourage you all to get a little, they make trifold Robert's Rules of Orders, stick them in your notebook and write them. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak, please? Anyone else would like to speak? Okay, if not, we will go on with the next order of our business here. So at this point, we go through all of our different reports and departments. The first report is the mayor's report. Some very good things have been happening here I'd like to share with you. First of all, as many of you know, Ball State classes have started here. Originally they were Zoom classes, but now we have in-person classes. So not only are the students going to be here, the professors are going to be here. The first one of those starts Tuesday night, August 24th. It's a statistics class, which is one of my worst ones in college, so I'm going to have to take it over again. But this is needed if you're going to Ball State for your associate's degree, your nursing degree, and a lot of other degrees, so it's a required course. The advantage is you can meet right in here with the professor and a class around you. You don't have to drive to Gallatin, and the tuition is free if your grades qualify. Second good thing that's happened, I think many of you have been hearing us talk about our I&I project for our sewer lines, which means infiltration and flow. We finally have our loan papers that have come in from TDEC for that. So once our attorney has looked over them, we can present them to the council for approval or not to move forward with this pilot project. We're one of 3 cities in the whole state who were awarded this project. It's a 50% forgiveness, and if we get it, it's a study that would then lead to finding which of our sewer lines need to be replaced, and believe me, we have a lot of them here. We have lines that are 40, 50 years old, and it's one of our big problems, as a sewer supervisor can tell you. We have a dog park that's coming. The young Boy Scout, John Kelly Lish, is moving forward with that. If you've noticed at the walking track, we have the fencing up already. Last Wednesday, the gentleman who we were awarded a special award from the Boyd Foundation put this together. The gentleman from the foundation came out and met with the Boy Scout and some of us to see what needs to be done at this point, like planting trees, putting benches, putting all of the things you need to make a dog park work, which waste containers, all those good things. But there's an area for large dogs and small dogs, and once that's all together, we'll certainly have a grand opening and bring all your fur babies to it. I know mine's looking forward to using it. We have a playground area. This has been talked about. The mulch in there needs to be replaced. We've been actually gotten some prices on the rubberized mulch that we've been talking about that would help prevent, if they fell, it would be much softer, and also keeps the water from settling in. So we've got some quotes on that we'll be glad to share with the council if you want to talk about that tonight. Those just came in. Just would like to remind everybody, we're having music on the courthouse square. We want to thank the American Legion for doing that every other Saturday this month. We're going to have Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition has a movie coming up on the square Friday, June 25th, 8 o'clock. We want to thank them for doing that. It was a great turnout last time for that. And a plug-in for our Market Fest. We have 3 more because they've been so successful down at our walking track. Saturday, August 7th, Saturday, September 18th, and Saturday, October 23rd from 9 to 3 p.m. We have vendors, we're going to have music, we're going to have food, and any vendors who are interested, just call City Hall. So there's some very good things happening. We want to thank all of our employees and supervisors and council and everyone who's helped, all of our committees who helped to, especially our Parks and Recreation Committee who are putting all of this together. So thank you. We have, I was hoping, I'm trying to be here by Zoom, I don't know if it's here. Yeah, here he is. Good. Let's see what we can do here. Mr. Moore, are you there? Yes. Oh, good, we can hear you. I don't know if you've heard any of this so far, but we're doing into our reports now, and it's time for yours. Do you have a way we can see you, or do you prefer not to?
I would prefer not to.
Okay, you've been on the beach, okay, okay. All right. Okay, would you like to report anything? If not,
I don't have to report. I'm glad to answer any questions if anybody has any.
okay, all right, thank you. We'll move on to then our department reports. Madam Reporter, would you Anything you'd like to say?
I don't have anything at this time unless you guys have a question.
Our police chief, Chief Davis, any report?
I don't have anything to report, guys, at this time, unless y'all have any questions for me. You have my monthly departmental report.
Okay, thank you. In Public Works, Mr. Les, would you?
Well, things coming along, we're working on filters, as soon as the filter kicks in. It's been a hold up on that.
Unfortunately, like a lot of things, COVID stopped production on a lot of this, and they were ordered months ago, and just they haven't shown up
We ain't
yet.
been able to get chlorine sticks neither, so that's a hold up too.
Yeah. Okay, water and sewer, Derek, anything?
The only thing I got is, we had a very large water leak on June the 1st, about 4 a.m. in the morning. I did have to get, due to its location, had to get Heatherly Construction to bring a big excavator in to be able to get to the site. So just want to let you know there'll be probably a substantial bill coming across, probably next meeting. That we'll have to get approval on, so just want to let you know about that.
Thank you. Wastewater plant, Mr. Steve, anything?
Got a call from Wascon Incorporated today, the 2 new RD pumps that y'all approved us to get, they arrived today, so they won't be getting those ready. They're planning on coming next week installing those, which will be good to get it on this budget. That'll give us 2 new pumps there. We got 2 new pumps at the main lift station, new valves at Turner Farm, and the radio station was a new project from Weirville. So we basically got all the lift stations redone, pretty much our budget. So appreciate that, and hope to have them in next week.
Yes, Mr. Rusty, water plant, sorry.
The town of Carthage, I'm proud to announce, has 2 brand-new grade 3 certified water treatment operators. And I'd like to ask the council, because we just got the results in the last 30 hours, so I wasn't able to get this on the agenda. But I would like to ask y'all to maybe decide whether we can move them up to standard certified operator pay at this point. They're a little bit below that at this point. So I'm just requesting that y'all consider moving them up at this time. Other than that, I have no other report, and unless you have questions.
If anyone wants to address that during the meeting, that would be fine. Our fire department, Chief Hyatt?
Yes, ma'am. We have a route report for a change, thanks to the software that you folks approved. I do have 2 items that I hope you'll approve tonight. Haven't been able to get bids on turnout gear and some other uniform items. I got 1 bid after the day after the last council meeting, and I got the other one yesterday. I now have 2 bids, $9,800 and $3,443, 2 different vendors. Low bid. If y'all approve that, I can get that in on this year's budget. And other than that, the only other thing I want to tell you is we still need a fire truck.
We're waiting to hear about that, aren't we?
Yes, ma'am.
Still, CDBG. All right, thank you. You wanted to put in a pitch again that we have better ISO rating, in case people don't know that?
ISO dropped to a 4, from a 5 to a 4, 1 being the best, 10 being no fire department. We're the best in the county, and to be truthful, I'm really pleased with that. However, we're about 1,250 gallons short of our pump capacity in order to even maintain 5, much less 4. We're going to have to buy another fire truck. That's where that came from. And again, if y'all don't mind addressing those turnout gear, uniform items, I'd appreciate that. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mayor Smith, before I ask the chief a question on the turnout gear. Chief Hyatt?
Yes.
On that turnout gear, are y'all starting to do that rotation yet as far as, what was it, 4 sets a year over 10 years or something like that?
As we need them, Councilman. Right now, I've got 3 that need brand new turnout gear, a 4th one that needs a new pair of pants, a couple pairs of boots, a couple helmets. I'm buying them as I need them rather than doing them all at one time.
Is that in the budget we're voting on tonight?
Yes, sir. It's I've got probably real close to twice what I'm asking for.
Okay.
So the budget.
Thank you. I see enough, oh, here you are, Scott. Okay.
I kind of like to look you in the eyeballs when we're talking money, so instead of a voice from the back somewhere, just wanted to let you know we're continuing to improve the accounting functions based on governmental accounting standards and generally accepted accounting principles. You have a written report with the detail. Just kind of want to highlight to you that the current cash and long-term debt report as May 31st. My goal is to give what I think to the council has never had, is to have financial statements, balance sheet, statement of revenue and expenses for the July 1st meeting, and been working towards that goal. From that statement of revenues and expenditures and the budget progress, all of you are intimately aware of the budget and working through that. We've had 5 meetings, 3 council. This is the plans meeting for the first reading. Monday was just a workshop, so I just want to make sure I was correct in what I thought we were doing. So if you got any detailed questions about any of those line items, if you'll put it in writing to me, send me an email, I'll answer it. I think we've established that I plan to do that for you, that I'll give a copy to everybody, and so we can have that for conversation. I'm sure you'll get into some detail with the budget status as far as FY 21-22. You got the first reading that we've given to you. I would just reiterate to you, because there was some discussion about, we've had a lot of money that we've made. Council's done a great job over the years being good stewards of the taxpayers' money, and mayors all before. And what it means is we've built up monies, but we haven't spent it for the infrastructure for a variety of reasons. The year of COVID knocked everything in the head, and so couldn't do that. But the things that Chief Hyatt's talking about, the fire engines, all that, that's been on the plans for 3 years now. But we couldn't move forward for a number of different reasons. But this fiscal year 21-22, it appears that the stars are aligning and we're going to be able to move forward on those things. So just be aware of that when you're making your decisions, as we've discussed in the 3 budget workshops, meetings with the supervisors, meetings with the mayor and the supervisor. I feel good about our budget, talked with the folks at the state and expressed my concerns, and they were good with it, and you have their statement in your handout. I did submit to you during the budget workshop, in budget workshop 1, 6 executive summaries of items that, in my opinion, we need to do for the accounting functions and also for the employees by implementing the cafeteria plan. At some point in time soon, I would hope that the council would be in a position that we could discuss those in more detail. Not sure we want to do that tonight, but it is something that would ask your permission to move forward with those things. If you have any questions of me, I'd be glad to answer.
We're going to be discussing some very important things as far as what we're going to be spending money on or cutting and things like that. Just on the record, of course, we've been doing the meetings, so we know, but is the city in a surplus or a deficit?
The city is in a very good financial position. We have cash flow available to fund about $1.6 million in the coming year of infrastructure projects. If we didn't have the money, if you guys hadn't been good stewards over the years, we wouldn't have that. We'd be trying to borrow money to do that. But now's the time, and things are, if we can get the materials, if we can get contractors, that's going to be a problem, I think. We've had one bid go out and nobody bid. And it's going to be an issue, but we've got the funds to make things happen. Plus, we've tried to make use of the government grants that we could get that money, other taxpayer money to help with. So, but yes, we're in a very good financial position, but that's going to allow us to spend 1.6 in the coming year. And for the general fund projects, we've got about $6 million planned from 3 to 10 years. And then from the water and sewer fund, we've got about $33 million over the next 3 to 10 years, which we won't pay for from tax revenue. So we'll be beating the bushes to figure that out. But comptroller's meeting last time, the big statement was the snake in the weeds for all municipalities until they are the water sewer lines. And I don't know anything about water sewer lines. I can dig a hole and give me the shovel, okay? But that's all I know about it. But what I do know is it's going to cost a lot of money for us to get those things done. So, other questions of me?
All right, thank you very much. Tonight we have our Planning Commission Chairman here, Dr. Dukes, who's going to share some information with us, the interactions, I think, between the council and the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Margaret. Just wanted to say, first of all, that the Planning Commission had submitted an ordinance, group assembly ordinance, I think it was P 210225, parentheses 3. And we, at our last meeting, we have voted on withdrawing that. There were some issues with that, and at first when we started looking at group assembly, the first issue that we found was just some wording in it that wasn't, that kind of run amok of the government's duty to practice equal protection under the 5th Amendment and 14th Amendment. So then I think, and that's with Mr. Moore's help as well. So when we started looking at the overall thing, I think it's not rehabable. We can't, I don't think we can do anything with it. I think we're just going to have to go back to the drawing board and start all over again, because we sure want to protect equal rights. So I just want to let you know it was submitted, it was not voted on, but still we've withdrawn that for that purpose. Also, in your yellow packet there, that has this in it. It's a flow sheet, and the purpose of this is the Planning Commission has several duties and several obligations under state law, under Tennessee Code annotated 13.413 and 104, and others as well. Those are the ones that, and under 13.4, 103 and 104, it basically tells us what what the Planning Commission can and can't do, and what we're mandated to do under state law. So one of the things, of course, we have a purview over subdivision regulation. That's the whole purview of the Planning Commission. But also, as far as approving projects, construction, anything that is also under the purview of the Planning Commission has to be. And of course, that's for private construction, private development, private, anything with any type of development at all, even down to utilities, excavation, that comes under purview. That's why we have to, that's why you get private people have to get a permit to go to the city council, and it has, some of the things has to go before the Planning Commission to be approved before that. And our approval process basically is based on the general plan of what's going on in the city, so things that would match the plan, and to look for problems that might be zoning problems, et cetera, before we approve it. But also, what we as a municipal government have to do that as well. So basically, any project, and if you look at 103 and 104, anything our city does, any project, has to be brought before the Planning Commission for approval. Okay, that's pretty well any of them. And if you'll read through 103 and 104. And again, that's for the same reason, because we, as a Planning Commission, have we have a duty and a mandate by the state government that we must look at that to see if it matches with our overall plan and fits and that sort of thing. Now, that's what this little flow chart I made up for. It's got a start and finish on it. So if you look at, there's two paths. One of them is the light yellow path at the top, if you can read it. And it basically, that's an advisory capacity that the Planning Commission has. So, for instance, if the city council or the city as a whole is looking at doing a project, and if you're trying to plan it and you don't know which plan you want to send to us for approval, you can send us 3 or 4 plans. and we can advise you on which plan we think will be the best plan. And then we'll send that back to you, and then you send that back to us, and then we go through the approval process. Now, all is not lost. If we do not approve of a project the way it's written, then we have to, by law, tell you why. That is, when we send it back to you and our recommendations on it. And when it comes back to you, if we disapprove, which probably not by the time it gets to us, it's probably going to be already through a lot of iterations. But if we disapprove of that by 2/3 majority vote of the city council, you can go ahead and do it anyway. Okay, so it's not that it's not a power grab, it's just, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is a state law. And, we just want to make sure that none of these things go through without following the steps that it should be, steps that should be taken. Now, be happy to answer questions if anybody like. I think that chart probably is pretty well self-explanatory, and I'll put a copy of the TILC codes in there as well. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. This time we have grant reports, engineer reports, and Mr. Black, could you tell us a little bit about some of our projects? This is Kevin White, one of our engineers from the state.
I'll follow suit that we don't see. We've got a couple projects going on in the park. The paving and the grading down there, we finally got approval from the recreational trail program, so the contractor, he says as long as the weather holds, and I looked at it just a few minutes ago, next week he should actually be able to mobilize and get started there. He was planning on this week, but as y'all can tell, it's rained about all week, so rain and dirt don't mix. So
Is that, I'm sorry, you're talking about the walking trail?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's one project we got going on. The other project we got was Main Street resurfacing. We actually bid it out. Again, when we did this, I think the planning commission was mulling over kind of how they maybe wanted to address traffic flow on Main Street. So what I did was put enough quantities in there to take care of however y'all want to stripe it. I've got an idea in mind, and I'm going to present it to the planning commission, let y'all look at it. However y'all want to go about that, the quantities are in, they'll be in this bid. It's just before we move them around. They're unit prices, so you could actually approve this tonight if you want to. We got quantities to move around as far as how the striping is going to go. So our general consensus to bid the project was to, your parking right now is 45 degrees. You can make some of those into 60 degrees and shift the lane over where you've got a turn lane that's not needed between Ward and 2nd Avenue is what I'm calling it. It's right past the square where the post office is. So the section where all the parking's on the right, you could make your, I guess that'd be northbound traffic go into the turning lane. You no longer have a turning lane, it would become a travel lane. Except that you got two options. You could either leave the light in place on 3rd and create a queue of 2 parking spaces, or you could do away with it altogether and redo the street light to make it yield to turn left. So that depends on traffic flow and how much left traffic you actually have going down 3rd Avenue. So those are some options, but the bids come in. We had Vulcan was the low bidder, and they bid $229,522.20. They actually give you that's milling the entire street down, putting 1.5 inches of Class D mix back, and restriping Main Street from Highway 25 all the way to the Green Bridge intersection. That's what that's for, so y'all can address that. The other option is to just reject all the bids and try to rebid it if you're not satisfied with the project. We also did the 3rd Avenue retaining wall down here.
We had a contractor out of Cookville pick up on it, MG Hall. Bid on it was $314,050. That's what that came in at. That's the shoulder pile wall, moving it back 2 feet behind the curb, and we're trying to redo that embankment there for about 190 feet. That's what the wall will be there. A lot of your cost in this is the cemetery being there as far as excavating and trying to hold that back while they try to put these walls in. So everybody's a little skittish of what if. So that's what you're left with there. So that's the projects we've got going on with the old fire hall. Expansion will be next, it's 15.
Tuesday. It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday at 10 a.m. So we'll have that project, the bid in on that project for y'all. And that'll be presented at the next council meeting. And I'll take questions if y'all got any.
Okay, I'm good. The retaining wall, 314,000, we had talked about.
The original scope was, before I actually got down here to survey that, when we first thought about it, it would be just a cast-in-place. The trouble with the cast-in-place option, the reason we changed over to the soldier pile type wall is you've got to remove all that material that's sloughing off. You've got to move it, keep what's there stabilized, so you get temporary shoring. Then you got to get the footing poured and in place, and then remove your temporary shoring. So the cost to put all the temporary in is going to cost a whole lot. So
Originally 105,000.
yes, and that was just the concrete. But when we got down here and seen the conditions that it's actually falling off in and how unstable it is, temporary shoring is going to be quite expensive. So the soldier pile type wall does the shoring as you go. You go to the sections. So it's 10-foot sections.
If I'm correct, there was just one bid.
There was one bid on both these projects. I had 2 bidders on the paving, one didn't turn in. The paving price is spot on. You won't get a better price than $85 a ton for Class D asphalt at this point, with gas prices and oil prices where they are. So they've actually they was very competitive. The retaining wall is specialized, so if you reject it, we can try to rebid and get more people. It went to all the bid houses, is what we call them. It's Dodge and Halifax and Tennessee Bid Exchange. Basically, it's all your contractors around here, I don't know what it would be considered. It's something they buy into. So each one, it's kind of like Verizon or AT&T. You buy into these things and they'll send you emails telling you what's bidding in your area. So it's a way to get your projects out for everybody to see. So it was on all of those, and that's the interest we had. So as the CFO said, it's hard to get contractors to bid now, and if they do bid, it's high too. So everybody's got plenty of work to do. It seems like.
So we do have an option to rebid if.
You do, yeah. Y'all always have an option to reject any bids.
Thank you.
Anybody else got a question?
Can we go into unfinished business?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move number 4 up to number 1 on the unfinished business agenda.
Motion has been made to move number 4 to number 1. Do I hear a second to that? There's no second. Guys, for lack of a second. Okay, the first item is a street plan main and fight. Oh, by the way, if I may, to help our reporter here, when you state a motion, would you please state it very slowly so she can write it down and then read it back to us so we're all on the same page? Sometimes it's really hard when there's a lot of stuff happening for her to really understand. We want to make sure everybody hears the same motion. So if you give her time to write down whatever your motion is, that would be very helpful. We appreciate that. Okay.
I have one other request.
Go right ahead.
If you guys don't care when you change something or referring to a number, please don't refer to a number because I have to go back and look it up. just say, I want to move this particular item here. Because
Refer to
when
the
we,
entire-
yeah, when we did last meeting, it was a little bit crazy because you guys were changing things from the April agenda on the May agenda. So I'm striking item 4 and I'm going with item 4. So if you guys don't care, just go by the name of it and the number.
Okay, will do. Thank you very much. So the first item, again, is street plan, Main and 5, Councilman Evil. What, would you like to make a motion regarding this item?
I would, and I'd like to follow my motion with a couple comments. My motion is to perform a study on Main Street between Cordell Hole Bridge and Pike Avenue on different driving, parking, and pedestrian traffic areas, and to present that study to the council of several different options before we pave the streets.
Okay, would you please read that back so everybody understands?
Go ahead.
Do you want Cole to do that?
No, you read it.
I missed the part on after fight on parking and what all was the,
On Fight Avenue, on different driving, parking, and pedestrian traffic areas, and present the study to the council of the several different options before we pave. And I need to say actually in there, the council and the planning commission. I apologize.
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay. May I please read it back one more time so we understand what you're doing?
Councilman Eagle made a motion to perform a study on Main Street between Cordell Bridge and Fight Avenue on pedestrian traffic areas, driving, and what is the other thing?
But it's going to be pedestrian, parking, and traffic areas.
To present the study to council and planning before moving forward, the several different options before moving forward with paving.
Okay, so we have a motion, second, we'll hear discussion, please.
I have a question. How long is the survey going to take?
Well, excuse me, really, it's only discussion right now between the.
Oh, I just want to know how long.
Thank you. Council, you have discussion?
Head first.
The reason, and I think this benefits the entire town, whatever your opinion is of how to pave Main Street, I think that none of us here are experts on parking, pedestrian traffic, and I don't think that it should be something that's political, but we should have an engineering study done on, with some different options on what would be good to pave a certain way, what not, how we can increase pedestrian traffic safely and decrease dangerous street traffic safely, and just present that to us so that we can have an idea of what we're looking at doing. And that way it's not a one council member's or a mayor's opinion, it's just an engineering study that has economic feasibility and has engineering feasibility. And I just want to do it before we pay.
Any other discussion on that?
Did our engineer not do that when he did the project?
I did one option.
It was one straight option. I know there's a million options to do.
There's a million ways to go
We
about
could
it.
do a lot of different
And I've
things.
got all the, like I said before, I had all the quantities in there, so if y'all wanna do something a little different striping, it's in the bid, we move a yellow line to a white line.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I understand.
It's there, so, and they don't care, they're aware of it. The contractor's fully aware that we do not have a plan.
It may be more beneficial for us to have the slanted parking. It may be more beneficial to have parallel parking. It may be beneficial to have both. It may be beneficial to have crosswalk in area A or area B. It may be beneficial to put a drain in a certain area. We don't have a lot of drains. A lot of water just kind of flows out and floods out everywhere. So there's a lot of benefits, and I think it just goes a little bit deeper than just chipping it up, put the blacktop over, and putting lines where we want to. I think that it'd be good to have just a study to say, this might be beneficial. And because if we have to fix it down the road, I mean, it's 3 days later, we tear it up. And I'd like to avoid that.
How long would that take? Is that something that you would do?
We can do it. It's, the only thing we didn't have is a traffic count on your left turns. That's pretty critical with a street light. So basically we have a guy out here at 8 a.m. counting how many people's got to turn left. You do it during a dead time, so you usually do 10 to 11 o'clock. So, you know, you pick a high traffic time and a dead traffic time, and it gives you how many people's turning left average daily. So that's one study. And then your pedestrians, the crosswalks are all over the board on Main Street. So they're running at diagonals and they're not technically perpendicular to the road. So there's those. I tried to redo those to make them what would be standard when we done the striping, but I do not have a final plan. And my thoughts was the planning commission would approve and then bring it back to y'all for approval. So that's the way I was taking it.
Be recognized. Wanted to make sure, as a part of that question, I don't want to take up anybody else's time either, but if you could, because I know we're not supposed to direct this at each other, so if you would ask Councilman Evil if that is that who he wants the study to be done by? Is there a certain group or
we can discuss, that's worth council, you can direct questions at each other.
I just want to make sure we're,
Well, if I'm hearing correctly, our engineer's already done some of it as far as
Some,
how much
but not
asphalt,
the-
and how much.
The scope of services was just to get a bid spec and to bid it out, so.
I have no particular engineer, I just,
you'd be fine with them?
Absolutely, just whoever's the.
No offense, I'm just asking.
Whoever's the expert on traffic flow and specifically pedestrian-friendly streets. The difference between a road and a street, the streets are pedestrian-friendly. And we've kind of had a road for so long, and once we had that bypass gone, we forgot to change it back to a street. And that's kind of where I'm looking at.
Any further discussion?
Could I ask the engineer a question? Are you familiar with speed variable crosswalks?
Speed variable, you talking about the raised ones?
The raised ones where it controls the speed of the road with the crosswalks that are raised?
I know what you're talking, I mean, yeah, I'm familiar with them, I'm not big on them, but.
Just someone asked me that question, so I'm asking that question to you, so.
The people driving the road is gonna hate you.
Won't be the first time.
The way the crosswalks are now, if you've seen them, they're usually 2-foot lines and they're 6 foot long and they're spaced apart. So right now you've got two like 6-inch lines, I think, I don't know. They're not very wide. So the new ones are highly visible compared to the old style.
Okay. So in your opinion, it's not needed?
It's not needed on, well, let me put it this way. The speed limit on Main Street, it is observed, is slow enough you shouldn't need them. You usually put them on a higher speed limit roads to make people slow down. So right now, people pretty much obey it because they're dodging cars in this park. So, but yes, there's several options to look at as far as that goes and how to get the pedestrians to move through there and warnings and things like that, especially if they can't be seen. So if you've got parked cars close to an intersection, you're going to want to address that. So all that goes into it.
Any more discussion? No? All right, then we go back to the motion. Please read it one more time so we know where we're going.
Councilman Evil made a motion to perform a study on Main Street between Cordero Bridge and Pine Avenue for driving and pedestrian traffic areas, to present the study to the Council and Planning Commission on several different options before paving.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so we will Mr. Evan, would you help us with that study and with the planning commission?
Yes, ma'am, I'll get back with y'all.
Oversee it.
Do y'all want to wait on this bid? The contractor, y'all need to approve it or disapprove it. The contractor is only guaranteed 60 days to hold his bid, so.
If I understand, the bid is also lower than what we.
Oh, yes.
So it's.
My point is, if you get him in contract, he can wait. It's just, if you don't award it within 60 days, he can change his bid.
We got 60 days though, so would you be able to have that plan by next council meeting? So what would we need to do?
When's the next planning? I think he's got to go to planning first.
Planning's gonna come up here, it's actually the Wednesday after the next council meeting. But we could also, Dr. Dick, we could do a special call planning commission meeting too.
Yeah, I think we could, yeah.
It's because just based on time limits, we could do that.
You'd still be in the time limit.
Yeah.
So I've got a month.
Well, that was gonna be my, pretty much same question, to figure out if we could get it in there.
So, I mean, if we can, it might be.
We need to save the money.
Yeah, this might be the way to go. It'd just be nice to see what's in there.
If we can lock it in, like you're saying, we'll save about $100,000 or so.
Yeah, you'd save quite a bit of money from what we were looking at. So.
But the contract don't have to be signed.
So
we
tell
just
us.
have to
You just got to award it and give them a notice of award.
Yeah. So you want to make a motion to that, or? Yes.
I make a motion that we award the bid to the Vulcan contractor, but do not start any work until after we get our study back and the planning commission approves what we're going to do.
Okay. Second. So the motion is to.
Approve the bid.
Councilman Babcock, to award the bid to Vulcan, but not to begin paving before their study is presented to planning and planning gives the recommendation.
On the paper, we had a motion and second discussion on the table. If I'm not mistaken. That one's done.
We voted.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay.
Okay. So the motion and second, a discussion on that, please.
I just want to check, Dr. Does that sound like a proper procedure for that?
You remember, the planning commission has two tracks. One is a recommendation and approval. So if it's sent to us for recommendation, we will give the recommendation, but it has to be sent back to the city council, and they have to submit the plan they want us to approve. So there's a little difference between approval and recommendation. So that, you might want the council, if you want the council to figure out which one you want sent to us, that might save time. This is the plan that you want us to approve. But if you just want advice or recommendation, then that's not necessarily the approval process. We can't advise and approve at the same meeting, if that makes sense.
So, I got you. So what has to be translated is, do we want, as a council, to approve this parking street plan, everything, or do we want to pass that baton over to the planning commission, let them give us a recommendation, and then we decide it with their or not? Basically, who do we want the responsibility to fall on, the planning commission or us?
Councilman?
I recommend that we make the decision on how the traffic's going to flow and all that, so we can get with all the constituents and everything, and not let the planning commission make the decision after we receive the studies and all the stuff.
So you would prefer that we do the study?
Yes, ma'am.
And send it to the planning commission? Is that in the form of a motion?
For approval?
Well, I mean, my other motions, we still got a motion on the table about approving the bid.
Right.
So, and this, I guess, is going to be an amendment that we approve it instead of going to the planning commission, it comes to the council first before it goes to the planning commission. Does that sound about what you wanted?
Yeah, I'm just curious, I'm just inquiring what the council wants
The
to do.
amendment would be to bring it to the council first before sending it to the planning commission.
I just need to know who to turn it into first.
So do I hear a second for that? So we have a second, any discussion of that? All in favor of the amendment?
Could you read it again? I'm sorry.
This is just the amendment.
The amendment, Councilman Babcock wants the study to be done and then presented to the council before it goes to planning for approval.
The council sends it to the planning commission.
Yeah.
Council vote on it. Okay. Okay, any further discussion?
And not to beat a dead horse, is make sure council's gonna look at it, we're gonna give a recommendation to the planning commission, and then they're gonna make sure that everything's rock and roll.
But what it needs to be is the plan that y'all have decided you want for us to approve. In other words, we'll approve it on its face, is, you know, what you, it needs to be a plan sent to us such that we can, you know, look at that and approve it.
Okay,
So, all 6 of us look at this plan, is that correct? Okay.
Well, basically, you're gonna bring us several plans, we're all look at them and say, or vote on what we want, and then planning commission.
Because that's going to be an education process. Yeah.
so we'll have to figure, you want to do this, well, anyway, we got this amendment, all in favor of the amendment, that goes to council first and then to.
Aye.
Okay. Now back to the regular motion, again, if you plus the amendment.
We didn't do a, no.
Oh, I'm sorry, any opposed? Thank you.
Councilman Evil, that's okay. Councilman Evil made a motion to award Councilman Babcock made a motion to award the lowest bid, the bid from Vulcan. And then the amendment was for it to come before the council after the study, for them to take a design plan to send back to planning for their approval.
All right, very good, thank you. All right, we are now voting on the motion with the amendment. Is there any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, aye, please?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The only thing left to do is figure a time to do this.
I think so there this new process that we're talking, which is not new, it's been a lot of state law for a long time, but this process of having to go through, I think the planning commission would be willing to do a special call meeting to you know, too much time from going, you know, for the approval process, so you know, so if that makes sense, you know, so right after you give us the plan, we'll try to get a special call meeting together and move forward with it, so it's not a hindrance.
So do we want to do a special meeting to look over these plans, or just do it at the next regular meeting? What would you prefer?
I think we can just look it over the next regular meeting.
Did you not say we were having a special call meeting at the end of this month to ratify the budget?
We're going to address that when we have the budget meeting. There may be a fact we may not have to, so we'll it was only to get it in before the end of the month, but we may be able, because our regular meeting is the very first day of July, so we might be able to do this at the regular meeting.
Point of inquiry, we've had that submitted by June 30th, correct?
It's what the comptroller desires to happen, but it is not hard and fast. We can ask for 2 or 3 days or 2 months if we need to.
I mean, we can still have the special call, but if you prefer to do it.
No, regular scheduled meetings are good.
We're not breaking any laws, let's do it the regular schedule.
We thought like you just said, we would have to, but then there is a little wiggle room there, since our next meeting is the very first day of July. Okay. So I'm here, we'll just do this at our regular meeting. So, Gavin, could you bring us?
Is this legal? If we could do it, like all of us walk through it, actually, you know, instead of just sitting here and all of it in our heads, like we could actually walk down Main Street and figure out, you know, just get an idea of what. I'm a visual person, so if that explains anything. But yeah, we would just walk through it and kind of talk about it as we're going.
Technically do a work session.
Yeah, we could do a workshop and walk down.
Yeah, like a workshop, where you can actually see what we're, you know.
So do you want to do the whole from 25 all the way to the bridge, or just, that's what
The whole project.
The whole project, yeah.
It's
open from the bridge to 5 Avenue, wasn't it?
Yes. 5 Avenue, yeah.
Well, no, the whole project is repaving it all the way from 25 to the bridge.
But there's no changes from Bike down that way, correct?
Can
we just make it the same?
Sure.
Are we saying that there definitely is no changes that need to be made, or are we saying that?
On this plan, there's no changes. But we could,
Well,
No
we
opportunities
eliminated the
for
turnaround.
Yeah,
I believe, Did you eliminate the turning lane? That's what we were talking
Well,
about. Oh, no?
we can, when we walk it, we can look at it and discuss it.
Fight's where, don't quote me on this, but I believe Fight is where the turning lane
The school.
ends. And that was a big point of, but don't quote me on it, so don't hold me to it later. But I think it's where the turning lane ends, and that's why that study was there between those areas. I mean, I think eventually we can study all these streets, but that was the
Turning lane
main.
goes all the way down. It's not down to college.
Goes to college?
Yeah.
He probably needs to stay there too with the school.
Well, I wasn't saying take it out. I'm just
We
saying,
might.
why don't we just table it until we walk in, we can look at it and say, hey, this is what we want, this is what we don't want. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Instead of trying to visualize it in here.
So, just so we know, if you want to set it before the meeting to have just a workshop before our next regular meeting to walk this, or how would you prefer to do that?
Could we do that?
I don't think we can do that together. I would just say, take the plans and walk it. I mean, even if, like, let's say we get all the plans, I don't think that there's anything wrong with us going ahead and saying, you know what, let's table our decision. Let's go take these plans with us and go walk it individually. But no, I don't think that Sunshine Law, we could all go walk that together or discuss it. I don't think that.
If we're in a meeting setting, we can.
Well, I've never heard of that, but.
Well, I mean, I've never heard of a lot of stuff, but.
On-site meeting?
A workshop's legal. You just can't vote in a workshop. So there's no business taking place. That's how you usually do it. That's how we usually submit plans to a municipality, that way they're all there and you ain't gotta go. I don't have to meet with every individual council member and walk through it.
So I'm hearing correctly.
But you can
advise,
speak with your attorney, but I'm pretty sure a workshop's legal, so.
so do you want to
Traffic
walk this
workshop.
together? Is that what we're doing?
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem either way with our walk from it. Should I?
I make a motion that we have a workshop from 5 to 6 on, was it July 1st, Thursday, July 1st, prior to our next meeting, so we can walk the plans of the engineer and see what the street's gonna look like.
Okay, we have a motion to meet 5 to 6 on July 1st, prior to a meeting for a workshop session with the engineer. Do I hear a second? Janet?
I'll second it.
Yes.
We need to decide where we're gonna meet.
I guess, on Main Street, I
How about the
don't
parking lot, because that's John's parking lot. That's a good place that I never
know, courthouse parking lot, anyone, I mean, will work.
Is there a different date that we could do that on besides July 1st?
That's an regular meeting. Are you not going to be here?
Need to look at that, 10-year anniversary with my wife, so I'm not sure if that's a issue like that or not.
That's all happening.
Think about burgering.
I'm not sure.
I don't know that we necessarily, I'm not opposed to doing it that way, but if you can email us the different graphs that you have, just do it on our own. I'm good with it either way.
I'll go with either way. Like, I mean, I wouldn't mind asking questions if we're walking around and ask questions,
Well, how about if you can do a video, you can show us like as you walk and then make you look and see.
I think we just, if somebody wants to do that, we can join that. It's a workshop, so.
Okay, all right.
I'm fine with it either way.
Right.
Well, I say, at least he'll be there so we can ask questions if we want to tweak something or change something. It's not looking at a blueprint going, well, I don't like this, but I want to do this.
I'm good with that.
And I think if we all talk about it, it'll save a lot of time in here.
And I can send the stuff by email before, so.
So we have the option if anyone who wants to can do this. How's that? And Evan, you'll be there, is that correct?
We need to vote.
Thank you.
Yes, we need to vote.
Yes, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, the next item, if you, well, some of you want to.
Yeah, I'll motion to approve resolution number CR-20210-610A-1, a resolution to ratify and approve the private chapter of number 28 of the 112th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, amending the charter of the town of Carthage, which is,
I'll second.
for point of discussion, this was passed back in 2019 by the council, sent to the legislature, but because of COVID in 2020, it just didn't get on the table, so they finally brought it on this year. They're demanding, I mean, it's up to you if you want to ratify it. It has to have a 2/3 vote to be ratified. Right now, we're still under the old charter until, if this is ratified, we go under this new charter. If it's not ratified, we stay under the previous charter. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Can you have discussion on this? Yes, sir.
Mass City Attorney Moore, question?
Mr. Moore, you still there? Okay.
Attorney Moore, does this include inside of the, this resolution that, or inside of our charter, do we have now ability for people who own property but do not reside, as far as like if they're business owners, can they vote in our elections now in this charter?
If this is ratified, you can say.
I think that was an amendment to it. I'm not recalling that at the moment. I have to go back and look at the specific provisions, but I think we did include that as part of the original resolution that was approved.
This is again back in 2019, so it's a bit since then.
I don't know what the proper protocol of what I'm going to request is, so I don't want to be out of line here. Could we take some sort of a small recess so you could just verify that possibly, if that's in front of you?
You've got a copy of it here.
I want to get the attorney's opinion because I'm not a legal attorney.
Yeah, I'm glad to pull it up and look at it. Again, because of the Zoom, I won't have to log out, but I'll have to look at a different screen to review it. But I can do that. I don't know. Maybe I might suggest moving this to later in the agenda, a few spots, and then I'll look at it and come back to it.
Yes, sir. I'll withdraw my motion then, and I guess my motion will be to move, and I'll say it out loud, ordinance CC 02-20210607, or sorry, wrong one, sorry. Resolution CR 20210610A-1 to the last item on unfinished business.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to move this item to the last item on unfinished business. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Any opposed?
Opposed.
So, Mr. Moore, if you have a chance, once you find it, if you want to get back with us, you just let us know.
Yes, I'll pull that up.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next, number 3 is Councilman Peters. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve an ordinance number CCO 202-10607-1, an ordinance of the town of Carthage to delete section 11-101 of the municipal code and replace it with language prohibiting the sale and or consumption of alcoholic beverages on city-owned property or facilities.
Okay, we have a motion. I think it's this language right here.
Call for a second.
There's not a second.
Did you read the motion?
You just read it, you can call for a second.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this? Yes.
So I'm bringing this up for a lot of reasons. Maybe some that you agree with, maybe some that you don't. But multiple citizens did come to me, as well as the council last month, and asked for this to be brought up. It is being brought up now. This is not never once have I made this out to be a religious or moral issue that has been said about me. That is not anything that I've said. This is not about shutting down River City Ball in any way whatsoever. I've had conversations where they're appropriate, and the person I talk to understands this and put it together. The River City Ball, which is I'm bringing up just because I know it's going to be brought up, would still be able to operate under this ordinance, either with alcohol on private property or without alcohol where they've been having it. It's also been made to seem as if I have something personally against the Emmanuel House. I don't. I've worked with them a lot. It has nothing to do with them. As I told the organizer, the main organizer of the event, in a 2-hour conversation that I was glad to have after the last special call meeting, this has nothing to do with shutting them down. It has nothing to do with calling them immoral or anything like that. I've got multiple calls and messages from both citizens of Carthage that live here and people that are citizens of Smith County, asking for it to be brought up, saying that they support the ordinance. And the only last point that I would bring up would be that, and I brought it up so everybody knows I'm probably going to bring it up, but no other city in the county allows drinking on public property. The county itself doesn't either. So the boundaries in which we allow this to happen, or if we have allowed it to happen in the last 3 events, they would not be able to go outside of that on the county property. They wouldn't allow it. So I think we need to have a conversation. That's what this is. We're having a conversation. We need to have a respectful conversation about the liability that we're taking on and the benefits to the city. And to see if they weigh the same or if they're outweighed.
Okay.
I agree with Councilman Peters. This, in my opinion, has nothing to do with any event. I've been to the River City Ball, and everyone that's questioned me about it, I've said it's an excellent event. I don't think they could take any more measures for safety than they do, or for liability than they do. But at the end of the day, you can't reduce all liability when alcohol is dispensed to 300 people, with 300 people in open area. There's going to be liability to the city. The original, I did not vote for the original ordinance because in working with this a lot of years and being on the beer board, we are asked to make a decision on any alcohol based on the safety of the citizens. And I do think alcohol on the streets is a safety issue for some folks. And alcohol affects different people in different ways, and different people, everybody doesn't make the best decisions with alcohol. And so I do thank them for the wonderful event that they've done. I would love to see their events continue. I think it's a well-established event. And I really think that people will come no matter what, because it serves wonderful nonprofits. I've had some accusations too over the years. I've heard people say that because my nonprofit was not chosen, I'm against it. But those of you that really know me and know how many years I've served in the community on all kinds of aspects know me better than that. But I do think it is, at the end of the day, it could be a liability to the taxpayers. I also got a message saying that it is a if we can continue having alcohol, it would benefit the entire county. And that may or may not be true. I really don't know. But it would be the citizens in the town of Carthage that if there were a lawsuit, if there were just one accident, and there haven't been any, and I'm very thankful there haven't been any, but there could be. There's a reason that alcohol is controlled. There's a reason that alcohol is usually inside of an establishment. Some of the larger cities do I understand maybe have that as a policy, but they have a large tax base and maybe a larger liability insurance plan. I'm not sure, but I don't think allowing it, I wouldn't openly say to any stranger, it's okay to come on my property and I'll take the liability of you dispensing alcohol on my property. And we're asking the town of Carthage to do that and the taxpayers to do that. So I just, I know we're not going to please everyone. I know we're not going to meet everyone's expectations. But at the end of the day, those people that have come to me overall have said it is a safety issue, it is a liability issue for our families, and I don't see a benefit to the town of Carthage to take that risk. I hope there's no event that feels like it's directed to them.
I have a question.
Smith,
Yes,
I have 2 questions for Councilwoman Knappel, just so it's on the record in public. How many times have you applied to be a recipient of the River City Ball? I'm in the middle of a question, I have the floor. How many times have you applied to be a recipient of the River City Ball and been denied, knowing that there was alcohol at the event?
I was denied, I applied and was denied one time.
One time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think that you should recuse yourself from voting because there is a huge, huge conflict of interest there, and it can also be deemed as retaliatory.
I'm sorry to feel that way.
Talk about a liability. Open that one up. You vote.
I don't understand. I thought you said that they applied for a permit to have alcohol on the street, not on city property. And now you're saying, I don't know your name, stating that the rule must be changed, that you can't have alcohol anywhere, on the street, on private, on the city property. Is that what I'm hearing?
ma'am, this is a discussion now just for the council.
Well, I'm trying to figure this out.
We allowed all the citizens a chance, but this is a council.
Well, I don't
discussion.
understand. I guess everybody does. I guess I'm stupid.
Yes, sir.
I'll clear it up.
Thank you.
This ordinance right now, as it's written in place, allows special events to close off the street and drink on a public street, city street. That's what it does. It doesn't eliminate you from drinking at your house, doesn't eliminate you from drinking at a bar. That's the only thing it does, is it lets them, that one time for that permit, they're allowed to drink alcohol on the street.
And so now they're saying they want to get rid of that.
That is what this ordinance states. They do not want to allow them to drink on public streets. And I'll say this, I have done this, and I've counted the number of people that have called me and said they want it, and counted the number of people that said they don't want it. I've even included the people out in the county. Erica, yourself, you called me, I counted you in the yes call. The no's, well, actually, let me rephrase it, the yeses outweigh the no's. So my vote will be vote for the citizens of this city that asked me to vote that way. It's not of a personal opinion. My opinion stops when I walk in that door for every issue. So that's why, you want an explanation? That's why I'm voting for it.
Councilman Babcock, what was your tally that you had?
As of now, it's at 227.
227? How many for?
127 to 100.
127 to 100.
They got
And
closer.
you got all that information in just over the weekend, correct?
No, this is till today.
Till today?
I kept on adding up.
So 127 plus, so you got 7 more from...
No, I had 203, I had 24 more.
If I can quote you correctly, you said 220 at the last meeting.
203.
203.
203, okay.
You didn't quote me
Any further
correctly.
discussion on this, please? Yes, sir.
I'd like a motion to amend ordinance number CC0 or CCO -202-10607-1, which is this ordinance, which would be considered the new 11-101 to grandfather in the River City Ball under the old ordinance number 11-101 of the municipal code, which would allow the, allow the event to continue under existing rules.
Do you have an amendment? Is there a second to that?
I'll second that amendment.
Okay. This is grandfather in, under the, the ordinance actually, this ordinance we're under now came into effect in 2019. So under that ordinance. Is there any discussion of that?
My only point would be, if I'm recognized, when the next event that comes in that wants to do this, we're we're gonna say, no, you're not grandfathered in, you're not gonna allow to do that. So we're
Correct.
showing favoritism to one over another that's gonna come before us.
You can limit, just like when liquor stores came in, you can limit the number of liquor stores that you can, it can be done by ordinance, how many you can put in.
I'm just imagining us in this room, depending on who it is that comes before us, saying, no, you can't do this. I don't think that is a good idea.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Okay, all in favor of the amendment to grandfather in and allow the River City Ball to still have serve liquor? Say aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the amendment fails, so we go back to the original motion to pass this ordinance. Is there any further discussion on that? Yes, sir.
All right, here's my discussion on it, and I know the other two probably ran over a little bit 2 minutes, and we went over a little bit 2 minutes, but that's okay. As we speak right now, in the 4 years I've been here, I've never had anyone standing outside my restaurant harassing my children and my patrons. At this moment, that is happening. They are harassing children. That didn't happen at the River City Ball. The prohibitionists out here doing this are harassing my children and my patrons. And I've had to call the police on it. That's happening right now. So those are your people right there. I'm going to give you a list of reasons why I'll be voting against this manipulative and this deceitful piece of political garbage ordinance that was placed on the agenda at the very last minute. First off, the presentation of this ordinance screams collusion. For those of you who do not know what collusion is, it's a secret or illegal cooperation or conspiracy between two or more parties, especially in order to cheat or deceive others. I received an email notifying me, an elected city council member, on Friday, June 7th at 11:35 a.m., just 81 hours, right over the minimum of the 3 days of public notice. There was no way to post this in the paper, so this was intentionally done so the public could not know about this. Would I have not checked my email, I would not have known. How could the public have known? If my memory serves me correctly, the council made by the part of the city to announce these meetings, yet when it comes to pet projects and political manipulation, you will see all sort of drama going down. Second, what right does one human have in forcing their religious dogma on others? Did you know that over half of Christian denominations believe drinking not to be sinful? Did you know that there are other people of other faiths in this town? We are setting a precedent that is opening ourselves up to numerous incursions on faith. Third, this is political posturing, and it's an embarrassment to many Christians who do and don't drink. This is radicalism entering our government in a free nation. Fourth, please show me all the alcohol incidents that brought this up to be presented at this moment in time. Why was it brought up as an emergency right before the River City Ball was applying for the permit to hold the event? Once again, that recently went to the Emmanuel House, an organization that is on the front lines of helping people with actual addiction problems, not just wearing it on their sleeves. A complete board of people who fully support alcohol on the premise. Has this prohibition movement even bothered asking them? Last, I'd like to remind everyone of their oath of office and their oath to the Constitution of the United States of America. Namely, the First Amendment, which clearly states government shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. I'm publicly calling out the manipulation. It's out in public. Everyone's seen it. You weren't able to sneak it by as it was originally intended. And further, I'd like to know the conversations between you, Councilman Peters, and the mayor, and how this was deceitfully added to tonight's agenda and the other night's agenda. And I've got a public inquiry request to find out where that email traffic, when it transpired, if it transpired after or before the River City Ball asked to be put on the agenda, and when there was an emergency meeting done. So at the end of the day, you'll know things by their fruits. And you all think alcohol's evil. What's happening outside of my restaurant right now is evil. What you all are doing to this community is evil. You're deceptive and you're lying.
And you are not, if you wanted to do this, there was a better way to do it. But you know it by its fruits, and these are not good fruits. These are evil fruits.
Any further discussion? There's no further discussion, and the vote is on the approval of the ordinance. Would you read the ordinance number, please?
Yes. Councilman Peters made a motion to approve ordinance number CCO-20210607-1.
Yes, sir.
You have a roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Call vote.
Councilwoman Knappel.
Yes to approve.
Councilman Babcock.
Yes to approve.
Councilman Evil.
No.
Councilman Peters.
Yes.
Councilman Petty.
No.
Vice Mayor Reese.
Yes.
So 4 to 2, is that correct?
It's five.
It's not 4 to 2.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes. 4 to 2.
So the ordinance passes. On first reading, we have a second reading on the next council meeting. Thank you. The next item here is,
I don't want to be here.
so we got, Okay, the next order of business is we have a permit approval. Councilman Petty, would you like to go first, please?
Well, it's my understanding we've got an application for a special permit approval for River City Ball.
Right. So would you like to make a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion. I
Do
don't
we
know if
have-
they want to go through with it or not.
Do we have copies? of
Excuse me just a
the
moment.
permit, or-
We would like to thank Councilman Petty for his support, but we would ask to be removed from the agenda tonight, and thank you.
Okay, so, no motion.
Way to go.
And we have another permit for a special event to, which would include walking around the city street.
I'll make a motion to approve the second movie night by the Springtime Grove Prevention Coalition.
I'll second you.
Okay, so we have a motion
To approve the request to have a second movie night on the square. It was very well, and I'd like to make a motion.
I thought it was a candle.
Oh, sorry. We really probably need somebody from the coalition, because I'm only the chairman of the coalition now. So, sorry, I was thinking movie night. The candlelight vigil. Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve the candlelight vigil that we do yearly on the courthouse.
date is that, please?
I'm hoping you guys have a request for it, because again, I'm not.
It should be in everyone's packet.
It's in here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see it on the agenda though.
It's on.
It is on number 4. It is.
I'll second your motion, and I'd like to make an amendment to that motion, that we include the movie night as well on it.
I'll second that.
No? Okay. Thank you. You have a separate.
I actually think the movie nights, both movie nights, now that I think about it, were included at the last meeting. Yes.
You
So this-
included both movie nights,
Yes,
yes, but do you
yes.
not, don't you have further movie nights?
No, only the 2.
It was just the 2? Okay. I'll rescind my amendment then.
So this is.
So, yes, just to clarify, there is a planned candlelight vigil that we do yearly for Recovery Month in September to be held at
Okay,
the.
this is September 30th, I believe.
Okay.
I think everybody has that in their packet, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we have a second
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion on this? No?
The question is, that the one outside the courthouse, correct?
Yes, yes. And we did have to limit it last year because it rained.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, when it's out.
but preferably we'll have it outside.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. The next item is second amendment resolution. I believe it's in the packet also.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the Second Amendment resolution. We discussed at the meeting last month, we looked at, as a council, we looked at the resolution, the Second Amendment resolution that was made by Smith County Commission. And so we have brought that same resolution to the council tonight. Except it would be adopted by the town of Carthage.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Do we have a second one as county? Is that?
Was amended, and then the county was just was copied from.
Okay, so we have both, I don't have a vote, but, yes.
And it's exactly like the one the county adopted, and it's good that we could be consistent with them. The only thing removed was Smith County Commission and instead placed in alderman for the town of Carthage.
Okay, any discussion? Yes, sir.
The Bill of Rights does not protect the inalienable and individual right to people to keep and bear arms. The Bill of Rights prohibits the government from infringing on that right. So as long as we change that word to protects but to prohibits the government, I have no issues with that. So I'd like to, I guess, motion to change the wording to on where the first whereas, where it says protects the inalienable right, to prohibits the government from infringing upon the inalienable right.
Is that the same in this one? Is that in the one?
It's in this one. I mean, it's right in the first one.
What paragraph are you stating?
That's going to be I guess it would be the second paragraph. The first one was a sentence, so it's the second paragraph. It's the first whereas. So where it says protects, scratch, and we would put prohibits the government from infringing upon.
Well, and if you look at the very bottom, it says, oppose any federal or state law that infringes on a citizen's Second Amendment right to bear arms and encourage a representative. So we're already talking about the opposing any infringement.
Like I said, I think that's good. That's the only one I would change, is just that one part.
Well, that's, to me, that's saying the same thing.
But it's not, because the Bill of Rights does not protect us. It prohibits the government. We protect ourselves.
Do we have a motion for amendment? Did we have a second for that?
Is this an amendment to make Carthage a Second Amendment sanctuary? Or just to support the Second Amendment?
This is to adopt the resolution that the county adopted as the town of Carthage, just stating that we agree with the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms for all citizens.
Okay.
It's a declaration, really.
All right.
And did you get a second on that? Did you get a second, right?
Not on the amendment. No, there was not a second on the amendment.
I'll second it for discussion, because I'm struggling with that one, only because I do agree that I feel like it's at the bottom, like she's saying. I think that does cover what you're saying. It's almost redundant, but I do understand with the Bill of Rights, it does not technically protect us. I understand the semantics behind that and wanting to be correct in that. So I'm struggling with that, so I'm going to open that up so we can talk about it. I think that's fair.
Basically, the only reason is so that it lines up exactly with what I'm wanting to line it up with what's on the bottom. And I feel like that would line it up on the bottom. And again, we have to also, words are very important, very important. And there's a reason we have certain words, and the reason words can be construed in the future. And as a citizen said earlier, what we do tonight resonates with our children and our grandchildren. And acknowledging that the Bill of Rights protects us is not true. The Bill of Rights is a prohibition on government, and we need to make sure that we acknowledge that.
Any further discussion? Can we go vote on the amendment to change the word again?
Could we do a roll call vote?
Could you read them again, please?
Councilman Eagle made a motion to amend from protect the inalienable to prohibits the government from infringing upon.
And we have a roll call vote on that?
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
He just wants to change the protects, prohibits, not.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. She read something after that.
No, she read it, but it's need to say prohibits the government from infringing upon the. Does it say protects? Yeah.
So it's not a point of inquiry. So it's not just changing one word, it's that word.
It's just
to a
taking that
sentence.
word to the rest of that sentence, because we can't say if we change it protects to prohibits, well, we don't prohibit the inalienable, right?
That's what I was wondering, I was like,
Yeah.
that's not.
No, we want to, yeah,
So do I have it right then to?
you had it correct.
Okay, I was making sure.
So if you want, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that is a fair compromise to not be, I was a little hesitant, not because I don't want anybody to come take my guns either, but I was a little hesitant of speaking about the federal government only for the reasons that Councilwoman Knappel had brought up last month of possibly getting into grant issues, but I feel like it's already on the bottom where we're talking about federal level, and oppose any federal or state law that infringes, so I don't have, I don't have a problem with changing that. I think that's a fair compromise.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, on the prohibit, can you read the rest of that out slow?
I'm just going to read that whole sentence to make it a little bit easier. Whereas the Second Amendment to the United States.
I'm trying to get in my head now.
All right. Whereas the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution, adopted in 1791 as a part of the Bill of Rights, prohibits the government from infringing upon the inalienable and individual right of the people to keep and bear arms.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll take a vote now, and roll call this in.
Councilwoman Knappel,
Yes.
Councilman Babcock,
Yes.
Councilman Eagle,
Yes.
Councilman Peters,
Yes.
Councilman Petty,
No.
Vice Mayor Reese.
Yes.
So that was on doing it. Now we're going to go back with the original, with the amendment included. Is there any
We
further-
did make a motion on that in a second, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Who was the second?
I seconded your motion.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
That's what I'm.
Thank you. I thought so, but I just want to be sure.
Before we take a vote, is there any discussion on that?
Yes, I'd like to discuss one more thing. Just, you were talking about the grants and stuff. Our rights come well before money. Well before money. And the fact that we would be willing to sell our rights for Washington's money that they stole from us originally, I think that's, I don't think we should even be having that discussion. These are our rights that we're born with. If you believe as I do, God gave me these rights. Government didn't grant them to me. And it's very important that we protect those rights and that we acknowledge what it is and that we don't sell out like, we don't prostitute ourselves out on our rights. That shouldn't even be a discussion we're having. That's all I have.
Any further discussion on this? All right, may we take a vote?
Are we doing roll call?
Do roll call vote.
Councilwoman Knappel,
Yes.
Councilman Babcock,
Yes.
Councilman Eagle,
Yes.
Councilman Peters,
Yes.
Councilman Petty,
No.
Vice Mayor Reese.
Yes. Yes.
And so the motion passes there. Then we have school hours and activities. Is there a motion to be made to this? Councilman?
Yes.
Any-
I apologize, I'm just looking for my agenda again. I'm just trying to, I apologize. Give me 1 second. There it is.
Yes, number 6, school hours and
Oh,
activities.
okay, yes,
One of the big ones, if I have to do this, we're missing the councilman, I think we should, we take a 2-minute break or something.
Take a 2-minute recess.
yeah, motion to take a 2-minute recess,
Well, hey,
5-minute recess.
Let's do 5.
All in favor?
2 minutes ain't long enough.
We'll take it. How's
yeah,
that?
I just want to stand up and see. 2 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Moore has located whatever we were looking for, and we're going to go back to number 2, charter ratification. Now, what was, you were looking for people who could vote outside of the city or something? Yes, sir.
He was looking for section 3 of the new charter.
Okay, section 3. We're looking at section 3.
That's correct. It's spelled out in section 3. It does allow for non-resident property owners meeting certain conditions, primarily being residents of Smith County. Also for owners of commercial property, provided that there are no more than 2 owners on the deed. But those persons would be eligible to vote in municipal elections.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go back to,
There was well, I rescinded the motion, so I need to read.
Let's start all over, so now we know. Anybody want to make a motion to?
Motion to adopt resolution number CR-20210610A-1.
Okay, it's to ratify, actually, the term, so from the.
Ratify, I apologize. Motion to ratify that same number. Resolution ratify and approve the private chapter number 28 of the 112th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee and the Charter, Town of Carthage.
And it takes, just to remind you, 2/3 majority to ratify it, to make it official. Do I want a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to ratify this. Is there discussion? Yes, ma'am.
In looking at the charter as we proposed it, I am unclear on some things. I'm hesitant for it to be ratified this evening because I believe there may be some things that we initially had in that charter that appear to be missing at this point. I could be wrong, but I don't think, I would not recommend that we ratify it tonight, but we table it and do a little bit more searching into it. I've got to call into MTS to kind of compare what this charter says versus, and I just want to be sure that what the council meant to happen when we did this 2 years ago, a long time ago, that it's actually in this before we ratify.
Okay.
So I'm concerned.
Any further discussion about this?
I wasn't here for that, but that, I mean, that raises a red flag for me. I mean, that looks, she was here, and she's saying things might not be there. I mean, I think we should take a look at that and make sure, just to be, that's doing our due diligence, in my opinion.
Just more time.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Mr. Moore, can you do like a side-by-side email for everybody? Because there are 2 members on the council that didn't know what we were doing before possibly, and that way they can see it and we can vote on it next month.
I'm sorry, two.
Yeah, I may be able to do that. I don't know if I have it in the version that would allow me to do that easily. As you may recall, that was prepared by MTS. I think Mr. Jacob was there, and at the last work session, when the final version was approved, he was making edits to the prior drafts at that meeting. But certainly between the 2 of us, I think we could provide a red line comparison between what's in the current charter and what you are voting to ratify before next month's meeting.
I don't mind rescinding my motion if y'all make sure to read it all, and that way we can look at it and vote on it. Also, I'll just make a note that like, this is probably one of the heaviest pieces of law we can make here, because we're changing a charter, has to go through, this literally gets signed by the governor. So it takes a long way to get up there, and we do a lot of work before it goes up there, because we know when it comes back, we want to be sure. So please definitely look at everything, and I'll rescind my motion.
So do I hear a motion to table of this? Is it what I'm hearing?
Motion to table till next month's meeting.
Second. Second.
Table this item. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, thank you. Okay.
Vote.
We got a second, but I was
What are you
trying
gonna do?
Then vote.
We got to vote on it.
Vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes, all in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Any
Any
opposed?
opposed?
No, folks.
All right, here we go. Now, number 6. So is there a motion about school hours and activities?
I'd like to motion that the council sets the pool hours as well as the pool dates for future pool seasons. Obviously, we're into one right now, so it's when the pool's complete, but we can also tie it to the end of it if it gets done by then, if not, but I'm sorry, I'm a bad one. Let me start over. I'd like to make a motion that the council sets pool hours and pool dates.
Second.
Okay, motion second that the council sets pool hours and pool dates.
Yeah, second.
Any further discussion?
I have no opinions on this, I just thought it'd be good for us all to discuss.
Do you have that? Do you have the pool hours set?
I already have pool hours set. We're open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 5. I start clearing about 4:45 because we rent the pool out from 5 o'clock for parties, functions, you know, whatever. And we can make more money off of private parties than we do, you know, a lot of times we do. 2 years ago, out of the 11 and a half weeks that we were open, or 12 weeks, we had a pool party every night except 14 days out of that. So, and, you know, I'm willing to work at the hours. Used to, when I first started, we went from 10 to 5. But the child labor laws come into effect with how long you can work kids.
So what did you say it was to now?
It's 11 to 5.
Okay.
And then we rent out. We have to be out no later than 8 o'clock because we're not, there's lights, but there's not in pool lights, and it's not feasible to put lights inside the pool because of the wire, blah, blah, blah. I won't go into all that, but we rent the pool out, and I rent the pool out every night, you know, Sunday. There's not days that we don't. Sometimes I've even look out that I have 2 parties in a day, or whatever.
Point of inquiry, Councilman Evil, do you have some kind of idea of what you would like to see? I know you said just kind of talk, but do you have any idea?
I'll be honest, I'm very ignorant on the pool, so that's why I thought, I know that there's a billion requests to have longer days at the pool and a little bit more of an extended timeline on the front and the back, so that's why I just want to have it for discussion. I don't have any skin in the game on this.
I'm sorry, you were next.
I was just going to ask if I could respond. So if they start renting at 5 p.m., I see what she's saying of if the city is making more money, renting it out.
You rent it out. We have churches, we have Little League, we have baseball, we have football, we have basketball, we have soccer, the band, I don't know, churches. It's rented. I have already 6 on the agenda now that's already booked, and we're not even open. I generally, by this time, I usually am probably half booked for a season. Of course, now, I'm calling them, bumping them a week, you know, or whatever, just because I don't know what we're doing. But I can make it happen if you want to open 7 o'clock in the morning. I could make that happen. But I have enough lifeguards that I can run 2 shifts, you know, or whatever, because the child labor laws, they can only work X amount of hours at a time. And a lot of them are not old enough to drive themselves, so parents have to bring them, you know, or whatever. So I try to make it feasible for them that they're gonna make gas money to bring their child to work or whatever. But I can make it work whatever you want the hours to be.
What I was gonna suggest is that we open it, like, I know we try Memorial Day weekend, but we don't close until after Labor Day. Keep it open longer in the season.
Oh, I think we could go.
Because we haven't opened up so soon, we keep, maybe even open up to the 1st of October, what if it's still warm enough to swim?
Right. I have the capability of doing that with lifeguards this time.
Is it open on Sundays ever?
Yes, we're open every day, holidays, Saturday.
Another
Sunday
question.
is 1 to 5.
Okay, another thing, like you said, it was open at 11. What if you had some hours in there, like 3 hours in the morning or whatever, 8 to 11, for like, you know, people that like to go swim in the mornings, because some people like to do that.
When I have a lady.
I'm not talking necessarily about kids, but
happen. I have a lady that wants to do aerobics, and she has recommended that we do aerobics from like 10 to 11 when the pool is not open. So therefore, we're not, you know, you don't have kids jumping in at the thing, or, yes.
Or Ms. Knapp have, yeah, your hand up.
No, he was okay. He was up.
Go ahead, Barbara, she has
Just, my question would be, I know that could cost us too if we don't have enough people show up for that. So would we have to have a lifeguard?
Yes, if I have one person inside the facility, they don't even have to be in the water. I have to have 2 certified people there. That's just state law.
I think that need is there.
State law.
We probably would just have to see if it.
Right. If it's feasible.
Cost effective.
2 things, when does school get out?
School starts back, I think,
Like
August.
typically.
around the 1st of August.
Is it? No, when is it? When does it get out?
It was out May the 20, one year, several years ago, we opened the weekend before school was out. Like, we opened like May the 15th or 16th. And we had one of the better, you know, I mean.
So that's an additional 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, and early on, but.
That sounds like that was my point, like, I think kids kind of, they get that itch, they're getting out of school.
Right.
And maybe open up 2 or 3 weeks before.
Well, we had already, Les and I had already talked this
Okay.
year, was it ready? That week, because see, seniors get out about 10 days before everybody else does. 8th grade gets out. The small kids, kindergarten kids get out like 10 days before actually school is out, you know, but,
What I say, can we not open the pool, let's say in the morning for, let's call it a senior swim, or, you know, for people that want to go exercise in the water without being around a bunch of kids and doing all that, and we can open it to the aerobics, but we open it up to the whole public. That way, if there's a group that want to do aerobics, they can, but if there's a group that just wants to swim in the morning without being kind of.
so what you're saying is you would like to see, no kids before 11 o'clock.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, you could have bigger kids, but, I mean, you can get a different group.
Like Monday, Wednesday, Friday would be senior swims from 9 to 11, no one under the age of, I don't know, whatever age you want to pick.
Right, that's
then,
what, I was just
then
trying to.
maybe on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we find someone to provide swim lessons or something like that, and have the kids go there for swimming lessons before the pool opens, so it's not so crowded, and they can be taught how to swim when it's not everybody jumping in
And
the
see,
water.
my lifeguards now with the certification on the lifeguard, with a particular waiver, my lifeguards can do swim lessons.
I
So
see
you
a lot
don't,
of requests for that on Facebook.
Yes.
you don't actually have to, used to, with us being city, we had to do Red Cross.
Right, but one quick question. If they're giving swim lessons, does it count as them being on duty as a lifeguard, or is there a swim lesson teacher? Or does it count as both?
No, they would be, they work for the city, they get paid the same amount.
No, what I'm saying is, did you have to have an additional person sitting in the chair while they're giving the
Well,
lessons?
yes,
Okay,
because
that's-
I have to have them on the, I have to have two on the chair.
Right, I just wanted to, that's all.
But I always bring in, because they can't sit on that chair, I always bring in four, in order to take care of the different situations. You know, you've got admissions you've got, we sell concessions. The lifeguards do all that.
You said they can't sit in the chair, what does that mean? I heard that.
They can't sit on the chair in excess of 30 minutes at a time.
I thought
So,
that was wrong with the chair. That's
yeah,
all.
no, they can't sit on 30 minutes at a time.
They're brand new.
And I give them the option if they want to rotate on 15 minutes. Doesn't matter to me, I just got to have, I'm having, you know, that won't be an issue.
You were talking about like in the evening when that's the time reserved out for parties, and I think it's great, we want to do that, but can we set the hours still to close at 8? And if there's a party at that time, it's just closed for a special event early, and we just keep it going till 8?
Well, I think the only issue that I have with that is, I think the pool party, I can't have a pool party and have swimmers there. It's gonna be kind of hard to say, maybe somebody comes Monday and books a pool party for Thursday, and that's the night you're supposed to be open. Do you want me not to take the pool party because I have swim, you know?
I would say that you still have, I mean, the parties have priorities after 5, they have priority.
Right.
But if there's no party, we're open. And then like basically just let people know, like let's say Thursday rolls around, everybody's swimming, just let everybody know in 1 hour, the pool will be closing for a private party. 30 minutes, the pool will be closing for a party, you know, so on and so forth.
Because I charge for a pool party, Monday through Thursday, it's $100. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's $150. You know, that's.
How many do you have a night?
How many what?
Parties a night do you have?
The parties are good.
No, I mean, how many do you have? 1, 2, or 3, or you just have?
On that night?
Yeah, from 5?
And I do it one night. Occasionally, I will have 2 or 3 people that want it at the same time. So I will get pool party, and I will give them the pool. I can section it without, they're well aware that there's other.
Right, but what I'm saying is at 5 o'clock, if they've got a party coming in, they rent it for $100, what time are they done with the party?
Most of the time, I try to
Is it
start.
1 hour or 2 hours?
2 hours is the least, and then sometimes if they want a little longer, if they give me more money, then they get a little longer.
So could we?
You know, I mean, some people won't. And then if well, I say that.
I need 15 more minutes.
I've had this happen several different times, that you have parents that are divorced
And Dad wants to show up later.
and dad wants to show up later, so, he'll pay for an extra hour, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting that. That didn't sound good.
I'm not. So we get back into what we're doing. Good schedule set for this. I think that if we open it up on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for the senior swim and the aerobics, or if the swim lessons become more prominent, we swap them and do Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But we
I
need,
think she will do aerobics. I think she told me Monday, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever, but that's.
right, whatever day she doesn't do the aerobics, we're gonna open it up to your lifeguards to do swim lessons.
Okay.
And then we'll advertise that so that way the kids have something to do in the morning.
you're gonna get coming.
Right.
So, yeah, right,
And then,
without coming.
you know, if you were to do it from 8 to 11 for swim lessons and 8 to 11 for aerobics, 11 to 5 pools open, yes, ma'am.
Oh, are you finished?
Yes.
Okay. Do you work 7 days a week?
Yes.
And does that add to your daily schedule?
No, I probably pull 60, 70 hours.
I mean, when we have those swim lessons, you'll have to be there also? Does that?
I'm
increase your
always
day?
there, yes.
I'm grateful.
It just, my kids are great. They're absolutely wonderful, wonderful kids. But I remember that they're kids. And,
Well, if this becomes successful, maybe we can hire her a part-time assistant that could fill in some of those hours, so she's
Gonna need one.
I think
No
so.
way to do it 7 days a week with.
she's been doing that for.
Just added, what, 2, 3 hours?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna add 3 hours at the
Yeah.
end, and we're gonna extend, you
We
know.
need to add someone to assist her in her duties that way.
Not trying to drive up the budget, but, I mean, we're gonna do it, we're gonna have a pool, we're gonna spend money, I mean,
And hopefully they'll pay for itself.
hopefully.
and we can kind of do the trial and error this year.
You advise us on what needs to happen for you.
If, you know, that way we can, you know, we'll see how trial and error goes, see how they come out, how many come out. You know, at 10 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and we can do trial and error this year, and then we'll know a little bit more.
I'll make a suggestion, and y'all don't have to go with the suggestion, but why don't we set our hours for next year for a plan, so they got a year to get everything going. As far as those hours, I'm gonna put a number out there, y'all tear it apart, it's fine. May 1st to September 30th, 7 days a week, and were we talking about 11 to 8 or 10 to 8?
Depending on the water aerobics, if that one they want to use in the swim lessons.
Okay.
What'd you say the
Why don't
hours
you see
were?
how this goes with the water aerobics and whatever, and then I think next year will be a totally different year, because you're gonna get that you're gonna get that middle of May or 1st of May, I mean, not trying to, but that way you're gonna get a full boat. This year, we're just kinda gonna be we're gonna be winging it, we're gonna be playing it fair, because we don't have an opening date right now.
Are you making a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion on that, and then I just have some stuff in the discussion on that, but let me motion for the 2022 pool season. Making a motion for the 2022 pool season that our hours are May 1st to September 30th, from 10 to 8 at the city swimming pool.
Not earlier than 10.
Because I
Now,
didn't
how
get
you
that
gonna
slower for
distinguish
Danielle.
between your parties and stuff?
So,
Not earlier
we'll
than
talk
10.
about it.
Not earlier than 10.
Because Friday
Do you want me to do it
Regular
early?
pool hours, that's regular pool.
Just regular pool hours?
But if you wanted to do the before
So you're saying it
pool
opens
hours,
up to the public at 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Opens up to the public at 10
So the swimming lessons will be.
that's only public, right?
Sunday, Monday's always a good party.
Right, well, I mean, but when you do the swimming lessons, you don't want to have a 2-year-old swimming with a 10-year-old.
We're just setting public hours,
You
and the
would
only time that.
distinguish those, you would have age groups for the swimming lessons as to, I don't think in what they have sent me on the swimming lessons, I don't think they do like babies or whatever, because that requires a different set of standards.
Certification.
Let's do this procedurally real quick, so that way we can we'll go move into discussion, but let me just, I'll do this again just to make sure. This is for we motion that we set the public pool hours from May 1st to September 30th. Good to go still?
Yep.
From 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. We can, if I get a second, we can make some amendments to
Second.
that. Okay.
That's gonna mess up your parties. That won't work.
I don't want to mess up parties, I just say if
Well,
a
then
party
try it out at
happens.
5 o'clock, let them have the parties, just like we're doing.
What I'm saying, Sam, is not, I mean, no, I think parties take priority, but why shut down the pool at 5 if there's no parties? Because parties happen when you get 2 or 3 parties a week.
Not on a full boat.
Okay, so how much, if you could average out how many parties you get a week?
Last year, even with COVID, I didn't do a count, but you will do 90% of the Friday, Saturday, Sundays are took. They're always took. Wednesday is the worst night, because I'm assuming churches and whatever. That's the worst night for a pool party.
So you'd say 4 out of 7 days, it's already booked up. So I guess we're looking at 3 days every week for half a year. That's some extra time for residents to get used to that pool that we're spending.
What you might do is just not put pool parties on maybe Monday and Wednesday or something.
And extend those hours till.
And extend those hours and then leave the other nights, leave Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for your parties.
You're not gonna make additional money by staying open later, correct?
Yeah, but again, we're kind of in the territory, as much as we want to make revenue on it, which I want to make revenue, I don't want to pay for this stuff. But the taxpayers have done this, and the taxpayers are prioritized as far as being able to use it. And again, if we have to do that way, again, I don't care, but why can't we just have those hours and then just let everyone know, like, hey, the pool's gonna close early, we have a party. Hey, the pool's gonna close early, we have a party, just whenever it happens.
Or maybe put a restriction, say if you want to rent the pool, I need a 10-day notice so you can give the public notice on this date, this pool is closing at this time.
I don't think it's that complicated.
I know what you're saying.
We don't wanna give up those rentals. No, we do wanna extend it if there's not a rental, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and we want the rentals have between 5 and 8, and if those take priority, but if nobody's in there, let's keep it open for the citizens instead of closing it down.
And we're saying, well, if I can be recognized, we're saying that it won't provide any more revenue, but it may, if somebody gets off work a little bit later, that might be an additional person or family. It might, so it could be. So I agree.
This is a question, because I don't know, at what point, if you opened it and then you have a party, would you break even? How many people would you need to pay off the extra lifeguards?
Well, most of your Little League, softball, your soccer, those are big parties, and they'll give us $200 or $300 for their pool parties. I kindly try to limit it for that Monday through Thursday, that I try to kind of limit it to like 35 or so, or the price is higher.
What I mean is, if you didn't have a party.
She's talking about general admission.
It's $5 a person to get in.
I'm sorry?
It's $5 a person to get in.
No, I'm saying, but how many, and you may not know this, if you don't have a party and you keep it open for people, how many people would you have to?
Well, I have to have 3 lifeguards there.
So how many?
So you can figure out what they make from 5 to 8 o'clock, the 3 hours. So 20, they make $7 an hour, so 21, that's $63 that you're going to pay lifeguards, so.
You gotta have about 12 people.
You got to have 12 people to pay your lifeguards.
That should be pretty.
Even if we don't have the 12 and it doesn't fully get reimbursed like that, I agree with Councilman Evil that taxpayers are putting the bill for the pool. And I think they should be able to use it, whether it's 12, I don't think we should, if it's 11 and it wasn't worth it, I don't think that's right. I think we need to move forward with that.
And I would probably, just for the benefit, instead of going 8, we have to be out of there by 8 o'clock. We have to be, so I don't know that I wouldn't make that to like 7:30, so that we don't run into breaking state regulations and we having somebody that's real slow about getting dressed and getting out the gate or whatever, but that's, again,
Councilman, do you have a question?
I'd like to call to order, amend the motion to 7:30, and then call for a vote.
I'll second.
Okay, so we've amended it to 7:30. We have a second? Any discussion on that?
And just real quick, what we want to do in this is, you would want to go ahead and do a study of what kind of staffing you need for this so that way we can.
Well, I just need to make sure I've got enough lifeguards to cover, and
Well, just, we need to amend our budget because it's gonna have some different costs. So just, if you can provide that study to us by, let's say, January, that'd be awesome.
that means a lot. I can mail later, don't go too far, does it?
Okay, we have a motion.
Call for a vote.
That was just, that was.
Can I ask one other thought?
Lifeguards, mail.
Yes.
Never mind. I forgot. I hate to you do that.
Lifeguards.
No, that was it. Okay. So if you have a pool party scheduled, pool party scheduled and you don't have a lifeguard show up or whatever, missing lifeguard, you just cancel it.
No, I do not have, I'll have a lifeguard.
You always do. Okay.
Yes.
A backup plan. That's what I'm saying, I guess.
Want to be agree. She's asking me, she kind of wants me to write down for what you're saying, the study by January for.
Let's say, yeah, just for cost, staffing, things like that, because January is about time that we should be ramping up
Well, yeah,
budget
because
costs.
if you get lifeguards, the lifeguard classes are usually February and March. So I go hunting lifeguards like December, January or whatever, because they don't do classes after,
Include in there too, you need help up there. You can't do all that, by yourself. Like, that's a lot of hours. I think it's great, it's honorable, but you need help up there, so. You get that.
Include in that a part-time person.
the pool's kind of my baby, and, I've been there since dirt. So, the plumbing there is probably my age, I think, or so, but we make it work. I get great kids.
What I'm hearing is you just need a little time too to kind of, so you don't overrun.
Well, I always go buy the supplies and whatever before I open the pool. And,
But a little downtime, I think if
It-
you're working
it,
80 hours a week, that's pretty tough.
we're open, let's see, I don't know, 11 to 5, but I always get there an hour, hour and a half before opening, just so I make sure we're ready. Les is great about checking the water and doing all that, and I don't leave until I can open.
Are you saying you don't need a part-time person?
Well, no, I'm good with that, but I don't want prices and stuff to have to go, in order.
I think we've got a motion on the table for an amendment. And a second.
Let's vote.
Can we vote on that?
That way.
Councilman Eagle.
Hey, Cole.
So would you read these, since we've talked about since this?
Councilman Babcock amended the motion to change from 10 to 8 to 10 to 7:30 p.m.
So, all in favor of that motion, the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now let's go back to the regular.
And then we'll figure out the agenda for parties and whatever. I got you.
The original motion that Councilman Eagle made was for the 2022 pool season to open May 1st through September 30th, public pool hours being 10 to 8 p.m. Of course, with the amendment of the 7:30.
I'd like to make just one more amendment, just to put that in right with, just to have I'd like to amend that part of the motion that Ms. Sally has a little bit more detailed plan with us by do you want to do December or January?
I would say January because we get the letter from the state, I think, in it early February as to what we have to do prior to opening the pool. But Jimmy Floyd and the Sportsplex in Murfreesboro always give me a call about January the 3rd, that this is when lifeguard classes are, and, blah, 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 and they kind of keep me up to speed on what we're doing when. So I've got Alex on speed dial, he takes care of it.
So you want to repeat that one more time?
I'd like you to
January.
one more time.
So I'd amend the motion to include a report from Sally on the expenditure increases for that plan by the January city council member meeting.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second? That's an amendment.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion of that? Okay, all in favor? All opposed?
And this is May 1 to September 30th.
So we go back to the motion with two amendments now. Can you encode it?
I'll try.
Decipher that, please.
Councilman Evil made a motion for the 2022 pool season to be from May 1st through September 30th, and public pool hours be 10 to 8, with the amendment from Councilman Babcock to change to 7:30, with the amendment to the motion, a report from Ms. Sally to report on the expenditures by the January meeting 2022.
All right. The motion with all those amendments. Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Straight line there.
All right. Okay, our next one, number 7, is parking and sidewalk study.
Yeah, that was included on that other one, so
Okay,
get rid
so
of that.
we'll go on. Number 8, property tax vote. Do you have a motion? Councilman?
Yes, I'd like to motion that we include the 50% property tax reduction rate into our 2021-2022 budget for the city of Carthage.
Have a motion to include the 50% rate. Do I hear a second to that?
I'll second that for discussion.
A motion is second. Have discussion, please.
I went through 3 budget meetings with our CMFO. I think I'm saying that right. Probably not. Anyway, with Mr. Scott, and from what I've seen, I don't want it to look like, just voting this down, and it's a terrible idea. I own property in Carthage, and I own my own house, but several other properties too. This would definitely benefit me, but I don't think I should make that decision based on what benefits me. I think I should make it on whether or not it makes sense in the budget, and I can't see it from the numbers that he gave us. We've got money that's put aside, that's a large number, but he's saying that it's all earmarked for certain things. And I don't see how this is gonna work in following budgets. And I'd be more than willing to table it if that's something you wanna do, so that you can provide how that would work, how it would look better. But I don't see it in what he talked about in our 3 meetings.
Any further discussion?
I can give you a million reasons why it'll work. One, yes, we've been good with our money. We keep having windfalls. But I guess the number one reason I'd say is it's not our money, it's taxpayers' money. And we're definitely the highest tax area in the entire county. We're paying the highest property taxes. 2, it's $300,000. $300,000 is something that is definitely affordable on a $1.1 million surplus. With everything that he had in his budget as well, even the expenditures, we're still looking at quite a bit of money. I mean, all the expenditures, everything, we're still looking at it. I'm not talking about the proposed wonderful magic wand wish list. I'm talking about realistic expenditures. With every single realistic expenditure, having a property tax decrease, at least for a year, would do wonders. Now, my issues are, we don't do this because we're always like, we got this project coming up, we got this project coming up, we got this project coming up, and we don't do them. And I want to do these projects. But what I would say is, when we do the projects, that would be okay. Well, we want to do this project. Is this worth doing this project in the city? And then we can look at adjusting our tax rate. And the city's gonna say, okay, well, that's possible. But it's $300,000 we're getting that we can't even talk about yet. We're getting $600,000 from this COVID deal. So there's half of it right there. I mean, the money's there. We can do it for a year. If it doesn't work and we're in just dire straits, it doesn't work. But the taxpayers are hurting. The taxpayers did not get a secured government job. They had to keep going out and work. A lot of businesses went out. A lot of people were hurting out there from last year, and it's their money. I think this would just do really good. If it's just for a year even, it would be phenomenal. And imagine the growth, the property value tax base that we'd have from having lower property taxes, just the amazing things that would be said in media about it. I mean, we would be looking a lot better as a city with decreased property tax rates. And additionally, we might be having them coming from the county too, possibly, and that's looking like it too. So if we can advertise that Smith County has decreased property taxes on the county level, the city level, we're a sanctuary Second Amendment city. I mean, you're talking about a huge driver for a lot of economic reasons, and a lot of people want to live here for that reason.
Excuse me, Scott, do you have any numbers that you've run that kind of reflect on what this
Mayor, that's not,
Okay,
if we're gonna follow the rules, we can't just have, one of us would have to.
all right, we'll go right ahead then. Any further discussion?
I'm gonna echo what Councilman Peters said. I sat through those 3 meetings and we went through each item line by line by line by line by line. But I also agree with what Councilman Evil said. If we got this money, we need to start doing these projects. We don't need to leave it in the bank. We need to start spending these people's money and making their city a better place for them to be. That includes redoing the ballparks, redoing the paving, redoing the lighting. Stuff that needs to be invested in the city, we need to invest in. The longer we wait, the more it's gonna cost us. We start spending the money now, it's there, let's do it. I don't like the idea of cutting taxes this year and then saying, hey, sorry guys, we need the money tomorrow, so let's have another tax increase. We're making it where we're at right now, let's leave it alone. And in 2 years from now, if everything's paid off that we want to do, we lower taxes.
Any further discussion?
I would like to agree with that as well. In the workshops, it was very interesting to see that, yes, we are in a good situation financially. However, I think we have some really solid plans, thanks to Mr. Zell. We have some really solid plans to continue for a long time in the future, doing what's needed for our city, for our aged infrastructure, as well as new projects. So all the taxpayers will get every bit of that back in the needs and services, I believe, and I'm one of those, in the needs and services that we provide.
Any further discussion?
Well, in the spirit of negotiation, which I believe you tried to do at the last time we proposed this, I'm going to ask y'all to meet me halfway. That's what I'm going to ask. And I think that that's a fair ask of you. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to amend my motion, because we did do the study on a 25% property tax decrease. And I feel like that's a good halfway point. I'm not getting everything that I want. Y'all aren't getting everything that you want on it. And the citizens are getting something, but also the government's getting something. I feel like that's a good halfway point. So I'd like to amend the motion to include a 25% property tax decrease.
I'd like to second that for discussion.
Okay, we have a motion and second, 25% property tax decrease. Do I hear discussion on that?
So again, it's basically like the same thing, which it is. We had a proposal of 50 and 25, and neither one of those looked great for the long term of what we're trying to do. Again, not trying to go against it and say it's a terrible idea, but I don't think it is. I don't think right now it is.
I'll go ahead and once again tell you, y'all, I get, y'all literally scheduled the 2 budget meetings on the 1 week I asked not to be scheduled, and that was scheduled. I have that budget on my wall. If we want to do the whole, everybody's seen everything in the budget. I picked that budget apart. You can ask each supervisor here how many hours I've worked with them on the budget to get them what they need and still get the taxpayers what they need. And I've analyzed that budget. We can do it. We can do it. I've been doing it, and no offense to Mr. Ezel over here, but I've been doing this budget much longer than he has. And I've been looking at that budget a long time, and I know we can do it, and I've looked at it, and I've given reasons. And again, those are good reasons, but we're going to say that they're just physical numbers, not opinions. This is not an opinion of mine. This is a number. This is something that we can do, and I've pointed it out. And if you have looked at those, you all can tell, you all can know that you cannot make a huge budget decision that we're making on 3 workshops. you need several workshops to sit there and really back up what you're saying. And I'm not saying that to be confrontational or anything like that. I want to get y'all's 25% vote. And if you do that, that's going to show the people that you're willing to negotiate, you're willing to work in the middle, and I think it would go really good for them. I think it would go very well for future things that you all wanted to go out and give the taxpayers a 25% property tax break. And I know the people would appreciate it and soften some blows from some other stuff. That's just my opinion. I've said my piece on it.
Any further discussion? If not, let's take
We do a roll call vote on the amendment.
okay, the amendment is to.
That's the 25%.
25%.
Okay, roll call on the amendment, please.
Councilwoman Campbell?
No.
Councilman Babcock?
No.
Councilman Evil?
Yes.
Councilman Peters?
No.
Councilman Petty?
No.
Vice Mayor Reese?
No.
So the amendment fails, and we go back to the original 50% reduction. Is there any further discussion on that?
Request a roll call vote again.
All right, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Campbell?
No.
Councilman Babcock?
No.
Councilman Evil?
Yes.
Councilman Peters?
No.
Councilman Petty?
No.
Vice Mayor Reese?
No.
So it doesn't pass. We'll go on to.
One of inquiry.
Yes, sir.
Did we handle number 7, or did we lump that in?
That was
Forgive me if I
lumped.
had something.
That was in his motion.
It's dropped because we've
The
already.
study, yes.
Yeah, it's in the other study. Okay, good.
Okay. Number 9, second reading of ordinance.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Okay. Any discussion on that? These are the zoning ordinances that we got conducted.
We want to lump, I'd like to do a vote on each one separately. So if I can make an amendment to the motion to approve for a.
Okay. Dr. Duke, are these companion motions?
They're considered sister motion, sister ordinances. If you don't pass both of them, neither one, you have to have both of them for it to work.
Yes, sir.
Is that on the table? That's a motion?
Yes.
Did we get a second?
I'd like to second that for discussion.
Okay.
I want to know why you would want to separate them.
Well, one of them I agree with, and one of them I don't. So I agree with if we're going to have this happen, that we give people a warning that they're going to have a financial penalty.
Right.
I don't agree with a financial penalty at all. So I disagree with that. So I'd like to, if it's gonna pass, I'd like to at least put my vote in there to have that warning with it.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask what an alternative to, like they're warned, and then what? Because they get a warning.
See why we put a criminal penalty on someone who's not hurting anybody but their own property, and we just look at it and we don't like what it looks like.
Why do we have a warning? If we're
That
not-
was yours.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I don't agree with it at all, but if I can put my vote towards something that's gonna help out the citizen and not have, possible jail time on this, just because they did something to their property that they don't agree with, I'm not gonna back that up, but if I can put a warning on it, at least, cause it's probably gonna go through, if I'd like to vote at least on that, so.
Okay.
So,
I see.
Yes, sir.
I'm quite sure there's no jail time included with the city ordinance of a zoning violation or a building permit violation. It's not even a Class C misdemeanor, so there will be no jail time.
point of inquiry, what's the penalty, what's the maximum penalty?
The max is a Class C misdemeanor, $50 fine.
Yeah.
$50 fine is in Class C?
Yeah.
How long, how many times can that be imposed?
It can be imposed with each day that's not taken care of.
$50 times.
Let me just explain these since it comes from planning commission. The warning is in there. They have a certain length of time before the penalty starts. I think that was the thing that was lacking.
Yes.
Well, it
Yeah, I
was
didn't
just-
have that copy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now that's-
If you'll notice, the warning is in there. The last time, I think that you guys got the ordinance, it had been in there, but you just got the first draft of it before that had been changed. So the warning is in there, there's a warning that you give before the penalties come.
Again, $50 might not be much to some people here, but it's a lot to people in the community. We're already taxing them the highest tax rate. We don't want to change that. Now we want to add $50 to it. Yeah, I'm voting against this.
Well, I would say, what is the alternative? We have, if we give them a warning, then they still don't comply, we go out and warn them again? And we go out and warn them again?
We mind our own business. I mean, like, I have neighbors all around me who do stuff I can't freaking stand, but I just simply mind my own business and look at the trash I gotta look at. And I'm sure there's violations going on all day on it. I like keeping my stuff up. I like keeping my stuff to code. I love the codes. I'm on the planning commission. I think it's great. I just don't like teeth behind the codes. I think it's a good guide. I think it's good to have it as a guide. But if we're gonna just start throwing $50 on people like that, I mean, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but it's not, I'm kind of confused in the fact of they're being warned that something needs to change, they're doing something wrong, which we added in there, which I think needed to be there. I don't think it's okay that you just go throw them a $50 fine just because you feel like it. Not saying that's what you're doing, Dr. Duke, I hope you understand that. But with the warning, if they choose, they're making a choice not to follow the warning and that they're being told not to do this anymore. I mean, it's not on them at that point.
We're making a choice for them to put a fine on them. They're just living their lives, mind their own business, and they might not want to get their property up to code. And they're just living their lives. Now, again, I don't agree with it personally.
Not keeping up to code?
No, I don't agree with it personally at all. That's my personal opinion. But I also don't agree that I have the right to take $50 with them just because their stuff's not up to code.
Councilman,
I want to call to order, call for vote.
You have to vote, Mayor. You call for vote.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right,
Your amendment.
Okay, all in favor?
Of, can we say that again?
The amendment.
Now we're just voting on it one at a time, so. We still vote on it.
We haven't changed anything, we're just voting on this paper, two different
Whether
times.
it's gonna be separate.
Yes.
Whether it can be separate or not.
Okay.
So the motion is to separate the vote. So if you're in favor, aye. If you're opposed, no. Okay. Everybody else in? Okay. All in favor?
The amendment?
No,
Amendment.
just separate.
Just separate.
Separate.
The amendment is to vote.
Individually vote on each one.
I amended it to vote on just A instead of B. So we're just voting on A right now. So if you are okay with A, you can vote on it.
Your motion is to separate,
No,
right?
your motion was to separate. So we're voting on the
No,
motion.
It means the same thing.
It's the same thing, but I said, I amended my motion to vote on A. That was what I said, so.
Do we need to do a roll call vote on that? That way we know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Tell me exactly your motion goes, so I
My motion was to vote on ordinance P-202-102-25, parentheses 4A, close parentheses, -2.
So you want to vote on 4A as opposed to 4B?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is where, this is just to clarify,
You're,
point of inquiry.
so I'm clear, you're voting on, just to vote on this, and then we would have to vote on it. You see what I'm saying? So you're saying you want to just vote on this first, so that's the vote.
Yes, that is correct.
The vote is to separate the two and vote on this one first. If
Can
that,
we just motion to separate them and vote that way? Would that not be easier?
he did make a motion to separate them.
That's the way of doing it. It's
But
just
we
the
haven't
same
voted on
thing.
that motion.
I feel like everybody.
We haven't voted on the motion.
It's the same
Okay,
thing.
can we just vote on the motion, whether you want to separate them? That can make it easier?
Let's do that.
Okay,
Yes, do
all in
that.
favor of separating these, please say aye.
Aye.
So you want to vote separately on
Yes.
this? Okay. Any opposed? Okay, so we will start with the first one, which is parentheses 4A as opposed to parentheses 4B.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Any discussion on this? All in favor, please?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that passes, then parentheses.
Motion to approve 4B.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Vote.
All right, thank you very much. All righty,
I Item number 10 should not be on the agenda, Mayor. The item number 10 was voted on last month to set this out for bids on regular baseball lights for the baseball field.
Then it come back now.
I don't think we've ever set it out.
May we hear from it, because the engineer just want to tell us a little bit. Evan?
Mayor, we talked about this. I don't think the engineer needs to tell us how to put baseball lights up.
That's what we agreed on.
And we agreed on getting a bid on what it takes to put it on. Is that not what we did?
If you want professional, I mean, not professional, but lead lights as opposed to little
Yeah.
T-ball lights.
LED.
There's a difference.
We want the same, we talked about the same lights that are at Crump Harris, the lights on the
But
pole.
it is an engineering design, it has to by law. Could you speak to this just a second?
Little League standards is 50-foot candles on the infield, 30-foot candles on the outfield. So it's about, from what you had down there, it's gonna be about 10 times brighter in the outfield and about 20 times brighter in the infield. The lights you got will have to be, standard Little League lights are 60 feet tall, and they got multiple heads on them. So what you had down there was, is it 30-something? 30-something feet with single heads, so, I mean, that's a basic design. To me-
Right, as I said, I understood all that needed to be done. That's why I wanted to put it out for bid. We want to make that a real baseball field for the kids to play on.
Then we will have to have an engineering design, is all I'm saying, to put it out to bid.
A company that installs those lights is going to know the designs for the Little League baseball fields.
Have we not sent that out to bid?
No, because I wasn't clear exactly what you were saying. And so,
Do we-
there is another thing, we have an ordinance about lights in neighborhoods, so we have to take that into consideration.
It's shining on the field, it's not shining in people's homes.
Still gonna have.
It'll backlight.
It'll backlight, but I'm sure that doesn't stop till 9 or, I mean, when it gets dark. So
I don't know.
Point of inquiry.
T-ball people aren't going to be out there that late unless we open it up to an adult, like old softball or whatever, then we can check, look at ordinances.
Point of inquiry, I was gonna ask if Dr. Duke could explain the correct process of how we wanna figure out how much it costs to put lights up. So if he can just explain the correct process, I think we all won't have to go back and forth with motions.
I don't think this would be considered a true project as far as construction projects, so I don't think it would have to go through the planning commission beforehand. So I think, just my opinion, I think that if you're concerned about it, we need somebody, let's put it this way, we need somebody that knows how to do it, be it either an engineer or the person that's putting it up or whatever, that knows how to do it by the specifications that you guys want. In other words, what your outcome is for the person to do it, and if the person that's putting it up doesn't know how to do it the correct way, then we need the engineer to help solve that problem.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I think if you hire someone that puts up Little League baseball lights there,
Right.
they pretty much know what they're doing.
Point of inquiry. We already talked about this, last time we voted on it, that it be put out to bid. We should put it out to bid. Let's see what the companies say when they come out to do it. I don't think we should be paying extra money on this for an engineer. I don't think it's needed in this case. It is needed on some cases.
Well, help me out. What did we specifically say in our bid notice? Tell me what you want in there. What language
It would
you
be
want?
his,
Tell me what language you want in your bid notice, because it has to be specific language for them to understand what it is you want.
We want an electrical contractor that can install poles and lights on a Little League baseball field in the town of Carthage to regulation.
Okay?
that's it.
Did you get that?
No, I'm still focused on the ordinance. Is that gonna be a problem? I guess that's my question.
Well, she brought up the fact that
We haven't put them in yet.
the high
Let's
school.
start,
I know,
let's get the bid.
but I'm just making sure. We're following
Yeah,
everything.
we'll be good, as long as we can get the bid, but as far as what happens after the bid, then that's when we start looking at.
And she brings up a good point. The high school doesn't allow lights because they're. in the-
I agree, but it doesn't prevent us from getting the bid.
Okay.
Okay.
We will put that out. As
You know
well.
when we'll put that out?
And we can put it out in the paper as long as we understand what the language should be for them to understand.
So any licensed electrical contractor may install poles and lights to the specification of a Little League baseball field.
Point of inquiry, do you need somebody to give you that language in order to put out the bid?
That would be helpful.
I just gave it to her.
Okay, so we've got that, then we can put it out to bid as soon as when?
Well, we can put it in the paper tomorrow.
Are we going to?
It'll go out next week.
It'll be Wednesday.
It'll be Wednesday.
Monday.
Okay. Good deal. But
Now-
other than that, we've already talked about that, and that shouldn't be on here anyway.
Yeah,
The other
that's-
question is, this is very specific type of lighting, so I don't know if just our courier will catch that. But people who could do it.
I make a motion that we respectfully, I'm sorry, but I make a motion that we remove item number 10 from the agenda tonight.
Second.
Item number 10 being lights at the city park ball field.
Correct.
Thank you.
So what are we doing?
We're taking it off and moving.
We're moving on, we're not moving.
We need to take a vote on it, then we're moving on.
No, we really don't need to, but we will.
So do you still want to put the bid out? Is that what you're saying?
We want to put the bid out, we want to take a vote on who wants to move on to number 11.
Mayor Smith, what it is last week, and I'm very respectfully telling you, last month, we already voted to put this out to bid without. So what we're trying to do is just take this off because we assume that you were bringing us a bid tonight.
All I'm saying is you help me out because we could have bids on 5 different things if we don't have the specific language in there.
Well, the language was the same last month.
No.
Yeah, so let's all say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's move on.
All right, we will put it out tomorrow and see what happens. Fine, okay. So you want new poles and everything, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The ones, what height are we now there?
30 feet, they're going to 60 feet, but that'll be up to the guys that install it.
All right, the next item is the Stevens Building. Is there a
Motion to approve.
Approve.
Item number 11. So we discuss it.
What is your motion?
My motion is to take it off the thing. We've discussed it 5,000 times, and I think we need
Stevens
to.
Building?
Yeah.
I have a whole other thing than you have on that. So that
Well, I want to take my side of it all, and Cole can play with his.
Motion to, yeah, I'll second your motion to take Councilman Babcock's part of the Stevens Building off of this.
That opened up discussion.
Well, if you can just take yours off, I don't think you have to have a motion for that. You can just take yours off.
Well, I don't know, because, well, there's 2 of us on there. I didn't want to do something like.
All right. If you all give me a second, you can vote against it too, just so we can have discussion. Motion to get an appraisal done on the Stevens Building.
For the building itself?
The building itself, yes.
Second for discussion.
Thank you. The reason is the benefit, whether you're for my idea or against it, it'll benefit you either way, is we need to see the value of that building, to see how much money we want to put into it if we want to keep the building, or if it's a building that might be good to be let go at a lower price to another organization or another entity. Right now, we have it for, the other thing we have to also remember too is there's a lot of stuff stored in that building too, so it's not something we can get rid of quickly. We'll have to possibly have another place to store it if we do decide to get rid of it. But I think it would benefit us to get an appraisal so that we know how much that asset is before we go start. We were talking about capital projects earlier. We want to do this responsibly. We want to know how much our property is worth before we go putting money into it. We do the same thing for our homes. We want to know how much our home is worth before we go investing money into it. So whether you're for possibly getting rid of the Stevens Building or whether you're for improving the Stevens Building, either way, an appraisal will do us justice.
Yes, sir.
Of course, I do appraisal, not that I do them, but I have them done. The cost of doing that on a building like that, Evan might be able to answer. The cost of doing an appraisal on that, it's the same, like a house is about $500.
Oh, I don't know.
Commercial's gonna be a lot higher.
Commercial's gonna be a lot
I
more.
wonder how much higher. I've never done one on a commercial.
The only guy I know is Mr. Abatoy out of Hartsville. I think Mark Abatoy, maybe?
Is he licensed for commercial?
He is. He's the only one in this area that, of course, you know, when you do a house deal, it's usually luck of the draw or however you want to look at that. But this
Needs to be a commercial.
This is a
license
private,
approval,
yeah, this is a private entity.
appraisal. Yeah.
It's probably gonna cost around $3,000.
So, yeah, I'm torn on this one too, because I don't know that we spend $3,000, if that's what it is, and that's not, I'd almost want to make an amendment to find out what the cost is to do the appraisal.
Let me rescind my motion, if that's okay, and I'll re-motion. I'd like to motion to get a bid out for how much it would be to do an appraisal on the Stevens building.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you have a motion and a second to get an estimate of how much it would be rather than.
An estimate for the estimate.
It should be a quote.
Yeah, get a quote. Well, to get a quote for what it would be to get an appraisal on the Stevens building.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor of getting a quote for? Okay, any opposed? All right.
Item number 1 on the new business, first reading of budget ordinance for the, make motion to approve.
Second.
I'm just gonna.
I'm sorry.
First reading of budget ordinance B 20210610-1. Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the budget. Have a second? Any discussion on that?
Yes. I'd like to ask the council, since we do have that little bit of wiggle room, to table this till next month's meeting. And we can go, because I want to be able to show you guys where we can afford that 50%.
We have to have two readings. Two readings. We can't
I
have them on the same night.
I completely understand that we have to have two readings, but based on the logic of us doing it then, they said, if I remember right, it was up to about 2 months or something, they give us a break on it if we want to be discussing. Am I correct on that?
They will generally do that based on what I've found out, but you have to state why you didn't.
We're stating it before because it was one day in, and we can just do this in it. But I mean, if y'all want documentation, if you all want me to show you, I'd like to show you how we can get a 50% property tax decrease. I've been asking for months to have budget hearings, and there was 1 week I asked not to have them in, and I come back home and there's 2 budget hearings done. And that's what I signed up for.
Yes.
Why don't we can approve this tonight and come back on the second reading and you can show us everything you've got, and then we can amend it to whatever we want to amend it to.
Because if you approve the first one, and then you decide to go with the 25-50%, can we technically amend it at that time, or will we have to have 2 readings on the amendment?
We're going to be in the same spot either way you do it. If we
Yeah,
change
we get back to the tax thing
anyway.
Yeah, if we wait to hear it on the first, we still have another reading after that anyway, so why not approve this while we're here? And then when you hear what you have to say, then we'll
Okay,
go that
well,
way.
what I'll do then is I'll bring it up, I'll put it in a motion next time. The next meeting, I'll put in a motion, I'll show y'all. If I can get ahead of it, I'll try to just shoot y'all some emails on it, and that way y'all got emails to look at, and you can do your studying.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We would be required, if we do that first reading tonight, we'd be required to put this into the Carthage Courier, okay, 10 days prior to the second reading. But all that is to give the public an option to look at it so that they can then comment on it at the second reading. So just letting everybody know that that's what we would do, but that doesn't mean that that's the approved one, but it just lets the public know this is the going up before the second reading. So
And we do a public reading.
just because it's in the paper doesn't mean that that's the final one, that that's what the requirement says.
If y'all want to hear it out, I'd love to have y'all's attention on it.
Does he need a second on that? Is that an amendment?
No,
I know, it was just, we're in discussion right now.
He's rescinded his amendment. What I'm saying is, we go ahead and approve this now. That way, we're not that much further back. We let him have the time in the next meeting to show us his plan.
Good deal. So
That way, he gets, and if we decide to change it, then we amend it then at that time, if we decide to change it.
we're voting on approving it right now as it is.
That's my understanding. Is that
Okay.
your understanding?
So we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion on that? All in favor of approving on first reading?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. We will go for a second reading. We're going to just go for the
July
first-
1st.
July 1st, regular meeting.
And
then we'll-
I'll draft a letter for the mayor's signature to ask the comptroller if they're still deliberating.
and we will get something from in the Courier tomorrow stating the budget, and also we'll have a public hearing before the meeting about that. That's required too. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, pool construction, trash, what is your motion here, Councilman?
Q1 was discussion, I'm just trying to bring some stuff to light that the citizens let us know about that we need to address, and I don't know how to put this in a motion, it just is something that we need to address.
Yes, sir.
Motion to suspend Robert's rules
thank
for
you.
discussion, open discussion between council members in a respectful manner.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Vote to suspend to discuss this. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All right, and this is why we're gonna discuss it in open and not discuss it privately, so that the citizens can see that we're paying attention to this issue. I guess we have a spot that we dump things, that we're supposed to be dumping dirt, gravel, things, pavement, things of that nature that aren't gonna, be terrible for the environment. I went to a spot today where apparently there was lifeguard stands that were just strewn out there, and they got picked up, but, and I was like, okay, cool, got cleaned up.
Can you say where that is?
It's right off of Turkey Creek. Les, what's the?
Crossing Terry Woods.
Crossing Waters Machine Shop.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The lifeguard chair, you see they were moved today?
I don't know when they were moved, but they weren't there. I got the pictures of it, and I had time till today to get up there and look at it.
Yeah, they
They was moved yesterday.
Okay, so I'm not trying to misquote when
No, I
they
just
were there.
I want to make sure we're all talking about
They're
that.
moved as in they're gone from.
They're gone.
They're back at the city now.
I was gonna say, and not in,
Yeah.
not off that hill.
So I pulled in and I was like, okay, well, let's take care of it. And I kind of I saw some stuff and I was like, hang on a second. So I put it in park and I looked over the hill. They're throwing, this company that we hired is throwing all that PVC piping, all kinds of stuff that does not belong being strewn across the side of the hill. I mean, it looks like if you want to talk about a violation of your ordinances here, the city, we're guilty of that right now. There is it's disgusting. And there's a difference between, let's put some gravel down there, let's put some dirt down there, we gotta get rid of that, that's fine. But this is disgusting. And I don't know what's up with this company doing it, but it needs to get cleaned up right away.
Is it the company, do we know?
Go ahead.
I would like to say that, I don't know if you know that, that's already been addressed. TDEC came in, got with Les, and they've got a plan. The companies that come over, they're going to clean it up already.
Okay, so it's been addressed?
It's already been addressed, already been taken care of.
So for the record, TDEC is gonna clean it up, have us clean it up? He's gonna have the company clean it up?
The city got with the company's going to clean up what they did, where they weren't supposed to dump the things they're supposed to have dumped in there. They're going to pull them out themselves.
There's some stuff in there that's been in there for years, we got to get out too, because.
When TDEC came out,
Yeah.
they found extra stuff,
Yeah.
like tires and stuff that we didn't even dump in there.
Yeah.
So, are we going to lump your cemetery one in there too?
No, because that one was, another one, but, just real quick if I can finish that part up.
No, I just was curious, I was saying, I got with Les a while ago, they've been putting dirt on the cemetery.
Yeah, he talked to me about that, so I was gonna also address that too. And we can kind of do, yeah, that's fine, we can lump it all together. It's
We're
fine.
having a discussion, right?
Yeah, it's all good. So we have do we have a timeline when we'll have that all up?
30 days, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, for which one are you talking about?
Yes. 3 days.
Yeah, 30 days.
30 days from when?
From
Yesterday?
Yesterday, okay, so we got 30 days from yesterday on that?
They're good, they know we're working on the
So then,
situation.
basically, the 8th.
He was nice about it.
Okay, good deal. And I guess the other thing I was gonna put out there, to address it publicly, the cemetery repairs are being done, for the citizen who asked about that. Third, if you have an issue, I'll just say this to the public, if you have an issue with something that you're seeing, like if it's trash on the road, or it's an issue that the city can handle, we don't necessarily have to go through the council, not that we don't mind hearing from you, but you could call Les, and Les gave me permission to put this number out there publicly. If you see something, say it to Les. 615-281-0436 is Les's number. That if you see something like trash on the side of the road, whatever, call Les at 615-281-0436.
The bridge trash, is that the Carthage Bridge?
Yeah, it's like people throw
Yeah,
bags
because
of
somebody
trash out.
emailed me that today about
Yeah,
the
there's
trash
like,
out.
here's a bag of trash.
But is that,
It's gone now, yeah, but just,
Gone, yeah.
it doesn't need to come up in council is what I'm saying. I mean, we'll address it because we work for them, so if they want to, but you can probably.
But is the bridge county, or is that city?
Half and
We've had that
half city, half city of Carthage, half city of South Carthage. I just like to put out there to the public also, when this issue was brought up about the cemeteries, Les, how long you been working on it, over a month or something?
Yeah, we put 2 truckloads in there.
Yeah, as soon as the issue was addressed, it started, the city got on it, it wasn't like we waited.
You're talking about the holes?
The holes, we didn't bring it out to the
In
public, so we
Ridgewood,
started what
correct.
you requested. The headstones are actually done through Sanderson's, the ones that are leaning, because they have to have a special glue and a special thing to set them up, so we pay to have those done also. But all that has been in works for over a month now. I just want people out there that had concerns with it. We've been on it since it was a concern.
Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
So is
I've
there
got
anything-
I got one thing. I'd like to make a motion that we approve what Chief Hyde had asked for with the turnout equipment.
Second?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
So Chief, would you tell us one more time so we're all on the same page?
Yeah, I got that one.
$9,800 plus shipping and $3,443.
And this is turnout here, right?
It's
We've got-
straight here in uniform items, and that's roughly half the amount I have.
We've got a motion and a motion to approve.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I have one more motion, if the council would entertain this motion. Motion to move the 2 operators up to standard pay since they've met their requirements. They met all the requirements. We agreed that we would pay at a lower rate until they met the requirements. They're met, so we should go and do that.
Second.
And then he'll have all the details
The
on
water
it.
tank.
Second.
Water plant.
The water plant operators, that is correct.
Okay. Motion to move them up to the rate, and then you have a second.
Yes.
It wasn't even.
Okay, any discussion about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And then this number 4, I'm going to motion that we table that to be put under the first item. I guess it would go under old business because it's technically on this. Am I correct in that? The animal control. Put that as the first item of old business next meeting.
Can you give us a clue what it is? So we'll,
You know what it is. You got all the emails we've all gotten. Well, I mean, if you want to have a discussion on what it is, that's what I'm trying to table, so we talk about it.
Let's put it on there,
Okay.
and we'll address it. Yes, sir. Yes. I'm sorry.
Do y'all want to address the retaining wall or table it, or I kind of need something with the contractor?
Yeah, let's address it. Motion to suspend Robert's Rules of Order.
There we have a way back. We're still.
We need a second on yours.
We hadn't been using Robert's rules since we took the break.
But you know the good thing about it is, our charter doesn't say we have to. It's in the charter where we don't have to use Robert's rules.
It's in our ordinances. Look at the ordinances.
I don't know, our ordinance is so whacked out. I don't even-
All right. I need a second to table this to the first agenda item under old business next meeting.
Second.
All right. Any opposed? Okay, all right. What else? Anything? That's it?
We have no.
I'm sorry, yes, about the retaining wall. Do we want to rebid it, or do we want to accept the $300,000?
That's $200,000 over estimated value. I mean, it's not your fault. I mean, we know that.
Would you like to entertain a motion to rebid it?
Well, but I mean, the way building materials and stuff are going, it's not gonna it's gonna keep going up.
So that may get more expensive.
I mean, it may get more expensive the longer we wait, but are we willing to pull the trigger on a $200,000 extra expense?
I want.
It needs to be done. I know your answer already.
Let's look at this real quick. We just were really sketchy about a possible $3,000 appraisal, but we're ready to just pull the trigger on $200,000 more dollars on a whim like that right now? No, I want this fixed. It has to get fixed now, okay? But $200,000 on something at the end of the day because it has to get fixed now?
It's actually $300,000.
Three.
Make a motion to rebid.
No, motion, a
Okay,
second.
we have a motion and second to rebid. Any discussion on that?
Only discussion is what if we come back to, that's the only bid we got?
How long do we have to accept this bid before it's
60.
60 days on this? Can you have another
But he
set?
said his supplier is trying to hold him to 30 on the steel.
Sure.
I know things, I mean, people are gouging people now, it's terrible.
Well, maybe steel's not the option, I don't know, like, I mean, we need to figure something out. That's extortion, I ain't playing that game, no.
Finance person has a question.
Yeah, we don't, we do have to look at it quick.
We can't let that
We
happen.
do, but I'm not gonna get extorted for it, we do.
Can Scott make a statement or questions, or you have something?
Yeah, we're not in Robert's rules, yes, you can talk.
It's important to note that we have applied to FEMA disaster loan, emergency loan, so it is conceivable that we would get the whole project paid for. Okay? But
We applied at 105.
If we don't.
no, we didn't apply for any amount. We just
Okay.
applied for them to get the detailed specs together. So now we have an engineering estimate that we can put together when FEMA says we're ready to talk to you. Right now, I checked the application and it says pending review. So.
Can we hear from Dr. Duke?
Well, we've got council.
Okay, that's right. And then
No, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a process thing here, especially if we're going through FEMA for loans or grants or whatever money. This is a project. And as I said before, we don't want to stop the process. It has to go before the planning commission. Approval. And we can do
That's right.
Real quick to the council, he said we're not under Robert's rules. Your engineer did explain to you why that went to a $300,000 bid, did you not? You said because of what they had to retain from falling, they had to build a temporary deal?
Right, but even though we're not under Robert's rules, that doesn't mean you can.
Yeah, but I understand, but I mean, he did explain why that price
Mr.
went up.
Grover, I agree, but you're not supposed to interject,
Well-
okay? There's protocol that we have to follow.
Just a clarification, the reason we can apply is because Smith County was declared a disaster area. So I don't know if that's standard FEMA or not, because we are applying because of disaster here. And that's considered part of it.
Technically, it's a project. In the end, it's not my laws, it's
Yeah.
state law.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, and so,
I'll make a motion to send this to the planning commission for approval on the engineer's bid.
Second.
And technically, it was Robert's rules, he
We're not
has a
under-
motion and a second.
We're not under Robert's rules.
Wait a
But he had a motion
No,
and a
you got a
second
motion and
already.
a second already.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
to
trying say.
rebid.
To
Oh, to rebid,
So
okay.
why don't we
Vote on
have
that.
Sam rescind his motion
If you want to.
if he wants to?
I think we ought to get it rebid.
No, he's just saying send it to the planning commission, we'll rebid.
We have to get the
there.
project approved through the planning
And I'll
commission.
rescind my motion.
well, all we need is the project, that's it. And we can do a call meeting, so we won't delay things, but I just want to make sure the process meets state laws, yeah.
Okay.
So do we need a motion to do that?
That was the motion I made, send it to the planning commission.
So does that keep us from rebidding as well?
No.
No, you can do both, but my motion was to send it to the planning commission to approve the plans, and then we can rebid the plans that are approved by the planning commission.
Oh, we got that, we got yours a second.
And I just need to vote on it.
Oh, unless we have discussion.
Right.
Okay, hold on. So your motion?
Everybody
One more
needs to
time.
understand. I mean-
Are we all, okay, motion without any amendments, what's your motion?
To send to the planning commission.
You send it to the planning commission.
And then
Okay.
second.
Second, any discussion? Yeah. Okay. That's your discussion. All in favor?
Motion adjourned.
Anyway.
Second.
Just to clarify. The bidding process doesn't come under that. All we need is a plan, that's the one, before you start doing